月に東京観光大統領逆は高級車で挨拶はごきげんようジョン・レノンは殺されたの退屈な授業エスケート軌道でカントで終わるはずだって世界が色づくカントでコンティニュー小さな革命だと で高校学校かけ高校朝の陰謀しのこの言わずに東京観光大統領受け子は高級車で挨拶はごきげんようジョン・レノンは殺されたの退屈な授業エスケープ起動でカントで終わるはずだと世界が色づくカントでコンティニュー小さな革命だと放課後ディストラクション放課後ディストラクショテンカウントで終わる世界はモノクロだった朝の鍛錬一二の三四で高校学校かけ高校朝の陰謀しのこの言わずに東京観光大統領受け子は高級車で挨拶はごきげんようジョン・レノンは殺されたの退屈な授業エスケープ起動でカントで終わるはずだと世界が色づくカントでコンティニュー小さな革命だと放課後ディストラクション放課後ディストラクションテンカウントで終わる世界はモノクロだった朝の鍛錬一二の三四で高校学校かけ高校朝の陰謀しのこの言わずに東京観光大統領受け子は高級車で挨拶はごきげんようジョン・レノンは殺されたの退屈な授業エスケープ起動でカントで終わるはずだと世界が色づくカントでコンティニュー小さな革命だと放課後ディストラクション放課後ディストラクション
Is Jake in
カ
here?
ウントで終わる
I'm working on that.
What is up, everybody? What is up? Welcome, one and all. Welcome to the LootCast. Welcome to LootCast episode number 11. Thank you guys so much for joining another week. I appreciate you guys over here, you guys in chat. This is for over here. But I appreciate you guys in chat for coming in for another week. We have a great episode lined up for you guys today. We are going over Nintendo. A lot of Nintendo news kind of has been happening this week, and we're going to be talking about the Snes games potentially coming over to the Switch. Finally, We're talking about Nintendo cracking down on some specific YouTube channels for some things that may interest you. Yo, we got some Sparks, 20,000
Damn,
Sparks.
that was
Thank
quick.
you for Demon dropping the Sparks over there. And we are also talking about a big company that you might know going bankrupt and tons more. We have a huge episode lined up. Now I have an awesome panel joining me this week. We're missing one member, but they're going to join later. But the main thing is we have a very special guest tonight. We have Mr. Your Player 2. What is up, man? Thanks for coming in for LootCast episode 11.
That was a heck of an intro. I wasn't ready for that. I was like, man, figure out something funny to say, but I couldn't really come up with anything. So I'll just say thank you and try not to make a spectacle of myself. But yeah, I'm happy to be here, man. Some fun topics to talk about. So, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, we got a fun episode lined up, and I guess I'll go right into introductions, and I'll go right into you. We usually start the episode just talking about what you have lined up, if anything, for your channel in the coming week or weeks, and what have you been playing?
So lately, what I've been playing predominantly is I decided to dive back into No Man's Sky, right? Because people kept telling me over and over, like, hey, it's a totally different game now. It's not the same thing that launched, which admittedly launched somewhat ironically, not to a great start. One of potentially the most overhyped games of all time. And then I'm not doing that. I've been playing a little bit of Persona 5, which we were talking about earlier before we went live. As far as the channel goes, I'm actually in the middle of like a weird experiment right now. So I'm doing 90 days of 8 a.m. live streams during weekdays.
90 days.
Yeah, so through Halloween, and the reason for that was, I historically done a lot of pre-produced content, and I was really big on production values, but I thought that was sort of hypocritical in a weird way, because I would make videos to be like, you don't need fancy equipment to start a gaming channel, but then I'm like sitting here shooting with a very fancy camera and editing on fancy equipment. So I was like, and the thing that was frustrating about that is I would sit there and be like, man, you got to get 3 or 4 videos out this week to, keep up the pace. And it got to the point where I was so focused on making sure everything looked perfect, or that, the sound was crisp, or the background lighting was well optimized and things like that. I was like, man, there's just got to be a quicker way to do this. And scripting was something also that hit me kind of hard, right? Because I would traditionally write long form. So, I would come up with points and then basically flesh out like a 3,000 word script. I'm like, this is a blog post. This is not a script, which is great if you're in the game of repurposing content, which I'm not quite yet. And then I was like, there's got to be an easier way to do this. I was like, why don't I just cut out the middleman and just go straight to a live stream and see if those tips will work in a live format? And so far, people have been pretty kind and receptive to it, even though some people are like, why are you doing this at 5 a.m.? I'm out in California. What's wrong with you East Coast people? But beyond that one criticism, it's fun. So for anybody in here who's not familiar with my channel, essentially what I do is I try to create content that is, inspiring, informative, or encouraging to other video game YouTubers, people who create content on the web. I would love to say that's altruism, but in truth, I'm incredibly selfish. I just love watching content like that. So I'm on a personal mission to create as many channels as humanly possible, or just, give people some encouragement, man. It's hard to be a YouTuber. It takes a lot of time.
It does, and it is a ever-changing platform, and you may wake up and you may say, hey, this is my list. This is how I launch content today. And tomorrow YouTube just goes, hey, this is how you do it now. And you just got to completely relearn everything over and over. Even right now, using the new YouTube Creator Studio, it's still like a learning process. On a personal level, that's one of the things I've been saying is like, just give me classic. Just let me use classic.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and it's weird because like I did a live stream earlier this week talking about like how it had sort of an aggressive thumbnail for me. I normally don't do things that are very pointed, but I was like, stop complaining and start adapting. But I didn't necessarily mean like, hey, don't critique the platform, because you should absolutely critique the platform and have grievances against it and whatnot. But at the same time, if all you're doing is complaining, instead of like, if I spend 2 hours complaining on Twitter like YouTube Studio Beta sucks and I don't like it and rah rah and all that stuff, that's time I would probably spend better learning what those changes are, because I'm not leaving YouTube anytime soon. There's no viable alternative to you. What do we have? Vimeo? Sure, they have online video, but that's more of like a that's very like your wedding videography portfolio, in my opinion. That's not like a social place to really connect in the way that so many people do in the gaming community.
Right.
Definitely. So right now, so you're doing the 90 days of live stream. Does that include weekends? Any days off straight through?
No. I'm taking weekends off. And I'll stream on weekends, but that's like just fun stuff. And it's weird because one of the big things that I kind of talk about on my channel is the importance of focus. Right, the more focused your channel is, the easier it is to make an impact. And even if you look at some of the larger channels like your PewDiePies, with people that are really just like top tier in terms of like subscriber base or the amount of influence that they have in this community, most of those people usually started with like a shtick or a focus, right? I think
Yeah.
PewDiePie started doing basically horror games and horror reactions, and then like once you hit sort of this point of critical mass, then it becomes a lot easier to experiment and do different things. But the thing is like it's always been really weird for me because people are like, "You're a gaming channel, right?" And I'm like, kinda more like a gamer with a channel. Like most of my content is not your traditional like, here's a review of Dragon Quest. So one of the struggles that I've had that I'm hoping to work out through this 90-day process is how do I balance my desire to like help other people and create informative content for gamers, because that's where my heart is, that's where my passion is. But then also make sure that I have fun stuff on there to kind of alert people to the presence of my channel, because if you're looking at the audience from the perspective of, okay, like my target is console gamers.
Yeah.
I mean, you could chuck a rock and hit a console gamer just about anywhere you go nowadays. It's so mainstream. But if you're like, I want to target gaming creators, that gets a little bit trickier. Like they don't all hang out necessarily in the exact same spaces. Everyone's looking for information, but that might even be outside the platform of YouTube, man, right? Like people could be on Reddit, they could be exchanging tips in private Facebook groups, on Twitter. It's a little trickier to make content that caters to that audience. But that's where my passion is. That's really I don't think I ever want to target only gamers or do that exclusive. Like I'm like, if you're having trouble like getting in front of a camera and you're like, I love video games, but I'm not comfortable talking to a camera lens, very common fear, very common apprehension. Like those are the people I want to speak to.
Yeah,
So,
and
awesome.
I think that there's a big market for that too, because I think we've even talked in the past of there's so much content that says, hey, here's how you start YouTube, here's how you grow on YouTube, here's how you get your first 1,000 subs, yada yada.
Right.
But it's all geared towards like, are you a family YouTube channel? Do you mow lawns? And would you like to have a YouTube? The gaming, most of these types of creators never really touch the gaming subject because it's just kind of such a broad. Like, how do you do that? Because again, being like you said, being a gaming YouTuber is what does that mean? Do you do news? Do you do previews? Do you do let's plays? Do you do there's so many things that you can do.
Unboxings,
So
yeah,
I think that
right.
is it's awesome, and B, there's a lot of people looking for the kind of content that you're doing because it's kind of rare when you search for it, to be honest.
Yeah, you don't see a ton of it out there, and I think it's weird because the way I explain, I've been on YouTube for almost a decade, but I didn't become a YouTuber until last year when I really buckled down, took it seriously, and tried to focus. And very naively, I was like, yes, I found my focus. I'm going to do video games. And you're like, oh my god, video games is super broad. You've got like retro people, you've got people who love pickups, people who love being just looking for collector's editions, or people who love to flip, or arcade fans, pinball fans. I mean, there were so many tiny niches within gaming channels. Like, all right, it's like some shameless self-promotion. I'm going to the Southeast Game Exchange next week. They asked me to come out and do like a presentation.
That's cool.
And when it is cool. And when he first asked me, in my head, I was like, absolutely not. That sounds terrifying. I've done public speaking since I was in college. But then my mouth was like, absolutely, I can super do that. And I was like,
I would love to do that for you guys. Yeah.
Right. And then he's like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, well, what do you want me to talk about? And he's like, well, that stuff you do on your channel? I was like, yeah. He's like, just do that, but live. Like I felt like an idiot. I was like, right, of course. Totally with you on that, Austin. But one of the points I was going to make, and I kind of tie all this together, is that it's almost not enough to just be a gaming channel, because let's say you do a run of like Dragon Quest Builders 2 tutorials, right? And you get a bunch of subs because it's like the hot game of the moment. And then you're just like, what? I'm done with Dragon Quest Builders. Now I'm really just all about playing Final Fantasy VII and, in preparation for the remake. And then a lot of people that subscribe to you don't necessarily feel the need to come back. So maybe that's just me overthinking and overanalyzing, but I think there's a lot more strategy that goes into like building up a channel than a lot of people realize, right? Like, like the numbers can be incredibly misleading, which I think is hilarious for gamers, because we are so wired to look at the numbers. You play RPGs or you look at DPS for games and you're like, I know I'm doing good because this number is very high. And consequently, it's like you look at your channel and you're like, that dude's got 200,000 subscribers. But then you'll see cats that have like 10,000 subscribers, and then like the comment section is like a ghost town. Now, I'm not pointing fingers and saying like, oh, those dudes are buying subs, but the numbers are definitely not infallible. They don't tell the full story, I guess.
Yeah, 100%. Well, that's awesome. So I think if we're going to button it up, make sure you guys go and throw Mr. Your Player to a sub, because if you're in here, you're probably into gaming, and if you're ever thinking about going into YouTube, this is the man right here. Real quick before we move on.
Please,
before we move on to the next, I want to give a huge shout out to everybody in chat. Hey, we got 21 people in here, so cue the Rax horns. Where they at?
Oh,
A little bit late. There they are. But thank you, D-Dub, for coming through. Thank you, Brian, the man, the myth, the legend, for coming through. Not Another Game Collector for coming through. Mr. Chris Levi for coming through. We got Mr. Aiden up in here. Thank you so much for coming through. Let's see, Mr. Mono Paul's, you're active in chat. Hey, that's very nice to see, man. Thanks for talking to chat over there. And thank you, everybody. We also have Roger over here from Twitch. Thank you, everybody, for coming through on the stream. We appreciate you guys. So then that leads me over into Mr. Oh, Roger's actually on Mixer. Leads me over into Mr. Mono. Thank you for coming for another week, my friend. You have a lot of ventures you're going on. What are you up to, and what you been playing?
Well, yeah, a lot of ventures. Of course, we like you said. Actually, you're a player too. You're right. It really is not enough to just stream a game, because not only are you pulling, maybe a subset of people who are interested in one game, but as soon as you flip that game off and go to another one, you've lost maybe an audience. So we've actually talked about this several times. It's like, hey, we love Pokemon. We do this, we do that. We switch to something else. Well, our Pokemon people are no longer interested in looking at something else. So I think that's really cool. The angle you're, what your niche is that you're falling into seems really interesting. I am starting taking baby steps, but I hope to include some DIY stuff on the computer side, like building head tracking headsets on the cheap. Building like a dedicated streaming PC that doesn't traditionally use like a CPU, instead just getting like a budget video card and using NVNC, so you don't have to split your I know that they do have the processors on NVIDIA cards, but if you're a PC streamer, you will have to turn down your settings to hit it. I don't care what anybody says. They share clock cycles. It does impact it. But for me, it's just working with this guy. We've got of course the LootCast. We've got some gaming reviews coming out. We're also taking a look at some what goes on in the gaming past. That's a little rewind on that. So we're going to be dropping some cool stuff on that here in the future. And as for playing, hitting up some Mario Maker this week, but really I'm just counting down 11 days, 18 hours, 36 minutes, and 49 seconds until the launch of Classic WoW, where I am gonna be off for 6 days straight, streaming nonstop. Hopefully getting up work. Hopefully eating, hopefully using the restroom. But I do know for one thing for sure, I'm gonna be playing WoW.
You're not gonna South Park it, dude?
We might South Park it. We're gonna. I don't know. We'll see how deep we get.
Giant diapers.
Giant diapers. Speaking about giant diapers, what up, Codex? Welcome to another week, my friend. What's up, buddy? Thanks for coming by. This is episode 11, dude. Thanks for stopping by, man. What you been up to?
I've been playing a lot of Overwatch again. I'm getting addicted to it again.
They launched what do you call it? Yeah.
Roll Q.
Yeah, Roll Q. There you go. They launched Roll Q. How's that going? How is that? We asked for that. I don't know, what, 2016, 2017? It's 2019 we got it.
They're still not happy.
Yeah. We're still not happy.
Why? What's going on?
We're still not happy.
I don't know. It's weird. Like it's definitely fixed a lot of issues, but it's also caused new ones, I guess. Just like jumping into a game, you get that one. It's a lot of one tricking again, where people will pick one character and they will not switch off it no matter what, because they don't really have to anymore. So we'll get teams and you can't be like, okay, fine, I'll be healer then, because you're doing awful. Like, you're just stuck on it. Like, you guys are stuck. And the games have all kind of just been very one-sided, but not toxic. It's reduced toxicity for sure, but the games are very one-sided.
So it's either you're gonna win or you're gonna lose.
So you've lost before you started, kind of thing.
Kinda. I rage quit pretty hard the other day, but that's all right.
I mean, did you break another headset?
So, just curious, would you say it's improved or maybe detracted from the current meta? Like
the meta shifted
the previous. Yeah, right. Of course. Yeah. So would you say it's a better or worse situation because of it?
There's a lot more May. May's like super meta now, Dom. So it's hard. It makes a man cry.
Yeah, I was gonna say don't encourage Dom, because I don't want him to jump back.
Nah, I deleted that game off of all platforms. Xbox, PlayStation 4. I don't even have the Blizzard launcher anymore. It's gone. Wiped it away. Don't need it. Gone.
I'll watch him re-download it tonight.
No Overwatch for me.
Sounds like lies.
I know, right?
It's like you rehearsed that defense.
No.
Other than that,
none of that.
Nothing. No, I just kind of been solo playing that a lot, trying to get back to the top.
Okay, where's your rank right now? Where you at?
I'm in Diamond again. It reset your MMR, so everybody's like starting in Platinum again.
Fresh restart kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Oh, you started off in Platinum?
High platinum, yeah, but like that's like the highest let you. Like it won't let people go like into like medium or mid diamond or anything like that. It does that just to balance it, because people will climb faster and it makes it more just like right.
Makes sense. Well, and that leads me over into the last permanent guest, Cynthia. What you been up to? What you been playing?
What did we play this week? So Sea of Thieves just released their next update, monthly update. It's called Black Relics, I think, or Dark Relics.
Dark Relics, yeah.
Yeah. So the black powdered stashes are now officially retired. So I mean, if you had played that for any time of last month and didn't get any of those cosmetics that were released, I mean, that's it. I kind of missed one, which I kind of feel like I got gypped on it. I played like the day of before it was supposed to finish. I completed the quest and it like didn't give me the achievement to unlock the next cosmetic piece I was trying to aim for. So I kind of feel a little bit sad. And then the cosmetic pieces that are coming out for the Dark Relics, I really don't care for. But they've added a lot of new stuff into the game as well. And so, I mean, there's a whole like long ass list that I was like trying to like help Dom go through. Like, oh my God, look at this and this and this, and all the stuff that they added. And I mean, I think in the last 2 days, I probably spent like a good 8 hours.
Yeah, like
12
4
hours,
yesterday alone.
Yeah. It was so many hours, but it was so fun. And like,
she keeps telling me, aren't you excited for Sea of Thieves? And like, yeah. I mean, I'm playing Fire Emblem right now, though.
So this bitch, no, fuck you, first of all. Like
so
the night before, I literally begged him. I'm like, please, like, play with me. I'm trying to get this last cosmetic piece. He's like,
I'm playing Fire Emblem. Just won't let you guys know. I have my Switch in my hand as she comes.
And I'm asking, I was like, hey, just real quick, like this, I mean, we don't even need to like dig up anything. I just need to like unlock this last, quest so I can get the sales I wanted. Hey, Rex. And this bitch was like, regardless of I'm going to tell you no, you're going to play by yourself anyway. And I was like, you're a fucking dick. To go play by myself. I was so mad and salty.
I just want to let you guys know, I've been single for the last year, and that's because I've been taking Dom's advice. Like, I thought this guy was the man. I was like, I gotta listen to everything he says. I understand now why I'm in my position.
As you look back,
you're listening to the wrong person here.
Rax horns.
He can't hear
listen
him.
to Rax.
He can't
I
hear
think
him.
we went offline. Oh, there we go. It's back.
Yeah,
really?
Rax.
Yeah,
Rax
we can hear
breaks
you.
the internet.
Hey,
What's up, man?
What up, Rax? Cue the Rax horns.
I'm telling you, he can't hear them. Only we can.
I know, but they can. That's what matters.
Why is Cynthia's mic messed?
I don't know. It's been like that since we started, apparently.
Yeah, it's odd.
Yeah, so I'm just dealing with it.
Like your voice is slightly lower and like sounds like you're talking into a fan.
And the fan's off too, so I mean, it's just the mic. But yeah, apart from that, what did we play yesterday? We played
State of Decay 2.
Yep, thank you. There's a new release on that too.
You guys want to watch the replay? Head to the channel.
We helped Chris start his community. It was pretty fun last night, but apart from that, I mean, I just kind of want to continue my little rant in Sea of Thieves. It's been pretty fun, even if I have to play by myself, which happened like half the day yesterday. Like towards the end of my adventure, I had to like beg this guy again. It's like, hey, I've collected all of this loot. Do you just want to like sign on so you can like get paid out? He's like, yeah, sure, fine. You did all the work anyway. And I was like, thanks.
Well, that leads me into me. I've just been playing more Fire Emblem. I'm trying to get done with that game before the launch of Astral Chain at the end of the month. That's my main goal, is get done with Fire Emblem and at least start a New Game Plus, not really finish it because that's a lot to ask for. That's basically my goal, is finish Fire Emblem, one full story incomplete. And then that will lead me into Astral Chain, which is my next venture, which is looking really good. There was some gameplay that dropped today, and that game from Platinum continues to look like it's gonna be something. It's gonna be something that not a lot of people were probably expecting, but it's gonna come and I think it's gonna hit hard. So that's basically what I've been doing. I've just been playing a lot of Fire Emblem, and Sea of Thieves and State of Decay. And Mr. O'Rax over there, since you joined a little bit late, it's right on time actually.
Yeah, we
How
just done
how
two
you
intros.
been? What you been doing on the channel? What you playing?
I've been great, obviously. You know what I mean? I haven't really been doing much of anything, to be honest with you. I've been working a lot, and I took like the past week or so to kind of get out and be a little bit more social. So I was hanging out with a lot of friends this week, so I wasn't doing a lot of gaming. Most of my week consisted of doing some crazy stuff at the game store that I run. We're doing some slight changes, bringing in some like different products like Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon cards, comic books, things of that nature. So I've been trying to brush up on my knowledge on those products because it's not typically my main.
As a
piece of
joke,
interest
I was
in
gonna
games.
say who's playing the new Magic online. As a joke, I was gonna say that, but
For Arena.
yeah.
I want to dabble. I used to play Magic pretty regularly.
I used
so
to too. I spent a
I'm not
lot of
ashamed.
money on it.
It's so much fun.
I'm an on again, off again Magic player. It just
Well,
depends on
it's
the
like
block.
it's a dangerous habit, right? Because Magic is so super expensive. It doesn't
Yeah.
surprise me that you're carrying a Rex. Like that's it's like printing money.
Yeah, no, it's definitely doing wonders because, like, I mean, to be honest with you, man, digital sales are really messing up game stores like beyond
Right.
what you guys can really imagine. So we're trying to do everything that we can to kind of like bridge that gap of.
Are you gonna do like in-store events or anything? Like you guys can do like Friday Night
we're
Magic?
probably
there?
going to be doing some
Very
kind of
cool.
stuff like that.
That's legit.
We have been talking about some kind of different type of like tournament aspects and things of that nature, but we really got to hone in and really find people that are cultured with that kind of stuff because
Right.
with us not knowing really much about that world.
Just got to watch for them nerds slipping in whisper silk cloaks on you on Friday Night Magic. I've seen it happen. I've seen people flip tables. It gets rough.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not too worried about that, but
Right.
You see Rex's guns? He ain't worried about that.
No, he throw them right out. They gone.
Oh shit.
smack them, baby. Yeah, no, I like when it comes to that kind of stuff, I don't really worry about it. But yeah, I've been doing a lot of stuff at work, so I haven't really taken a lot of time. I did film a new video today, so that'll probably be up either tomorrow or the next day.
Very
I
nice.
unboxed some really cool stuff. So if you guys are interested in unboxings or anything like that, make sure to come check out my channel, man.
Absolutely. Did you guys check out some of the preview stuff for the Sega Genesis Mini? Has any of you guys checked that out?
Yeah,
No.
yeah, a little bit.
It's looking real good. I was talking to Chris over there the other day, I think yesterday, about it, and I was like, I wasn't necessarily interested in that at first, but now that I've seen the lineup of games and how the emulation is, I'm like, I think I need to get this.
Yeah, like everything I read about it said that, basically it built on the feature set, or I guess on the things that you would expect from those mini consoles, because it's like the NES was really good, the Snes, was really great, and then you've got the PlayStation Classic, not the best, but apparently they put some really neat features into it, including like what was it, a unique music track that had previously never been released or something that was built on the original Sega hardware. I was like, that's a really nice touch, man. I mean, that's something beyond just like convenience features. But speaking of that, then I think it also includes the ability to hold the start button to get back to the main menu without having to actually physically go touch a button on the system, which I think is
such a quality of life feature. Like,
that's like a no-brainer inclusion. I'm surprised that wasn't included on any of the other consoles, really.
Yeah, so I guess really what I was fishing for is that leads me right into our first subject of the night. That means it's time to cue the news music. Where's my cheesy news music at? And that leads me right into the SNES, because the SNES is in the news this week, and Mr. Mono...
The summer itself has been fairly dry as far as major news, outbursts are concerned, but there are some morsels, some tidbits here and there, and I think something that everybody has looked forward to on some capacity may be coming a little bit closer to becoming reality, as Nintendo hints at SNES games on the Switch with a current FCC filing. So, with the previous iterations of the Switch Lite and XYZ, we've kind of found out from these FCC filings, and so they've been pretty much spot on. Nintendo appears to be
looks
preparing.
like the live stream's offline.
Oh.
I think it's back.
Again?
Okay.
We'll say
Yeah, it does. It keeps flickering.
It's weird.
like
Uh-oh.
That's weird.
Are we back?
Yeah, we're back.
I think so.
All right. So
Wonder
in
what
a
happened.
current FCC, in a recent FCC filing spotted by forum posters on Reset Era, photos of the new SNES controller have been marked as confidential until next year. However, a label location reveals that there could be a ZL and a ZR button on the top of each section of the left and right side, of course. And it could be a part of a Joy-Con docking rail to attach them to the Switch. Nintendo launched the NES wireless controllers for the Switch last year alongside access to the classic NES titles via its online subscription service. And the FCC filing is fueling speculation that Nintendo will likely launch similar bundles of SNES classic games. Of course, it reveals very little more information beyond just there's some buttons that look like they correlate with the SNES controller. And of course, at this time, Nintendo has not commented on the leak. And that's The Verge bringing us this article. What do you guys think? I mean, kind of like better late than never, I think. It's been a while.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it was inevitable. Like when it comes to Snes, like here's the deal. I feel like people are going to get excited about it super early on, and then we're going to start complaining about, oh, how come you didn't put this game on there? Because that's the exact same thing that we did with NES games. Like, oh, it's a great idea if we put NES games on here and classic games, yada yada, et cetera, et cetera. And then we got the NES games. We didn't get the things that we like necessarily wanted. I think the problem is that they've made a lot of money based off of the Super Nintendo Classic, the NES Classic, and I don't really feel like, you know, many games that were on those consoles are on the Nintendo Online app, whatever that, I don't know, the Nintendo Entertainment Online app.
Yeah.
So I don't think that they will put too many of the games that were on the SNES Classic or the NES Classic on those apps in general. I don't know whether they are still planning on continuing production on those devices or if they've already stopped it. From what I remember, I believe they said that they were stopping production on the classic system. So I don't even see if we'll get a 64 classic at this point. You know what I mean? I think that a lot of people are desperately wanting something like that, but the emulation on it is just kind of too tough. I think that would perfectly fit on the Switch aside from its own standalone mini console. I really don't think that we need to keep going down this mini console route. So I think that the SNES stuff is a step in the right direction. I think that if they do end up putting out some games on there, I really hope that they put out a pretty decent sized library from the start and not some, oh, here's 10 games you can choose from, like bull crap that's not really popular, but here you go.
Right.
You said you wanted SNES, so you got it, bucko. I really don't think that that's what people are really, I don't know, man. I don't think that's what people want, but at the same time, it's the only thing that makes sense in Nintendo's line of rolling things out. Like, you don't just give everybody everything they need right in the beginning. But at the same time, I feel like they need to give us something, like at least give us like Earthbound or something popular that's going to make people like, oh snap, like I really need that. And you know, they really need to do something to entice people to A, want to buy into the online network, and B, buy into a Switch in general for people that aren't owning a Switch at this point. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
Yeah, I'm with you, and well, like, just talk about the N64 real quick when you mentioned that. I'm going to get real hypocritical here, right? I will say that I would prefer your approach where you get N64 games that just come natively to the Switch, kind of like we saw with Turok, and I think Turok 2's out now, because they play great, right? And I feel like that's not a crappy emulation experience or anything like that. And personally, I would much prefer the controls of the Joy-Cons drift at all to going back to an original N64 controller for most of those experiences. But that being said, if they were like, hey, we're going to drop an N64 Classic this Christmas, I'd be there like day one.
Well,
I
don't know if you remember a while back,
too.
I believe either a 64 controller or some kind of 64 patent was like filed for the Switch.
Oh,
Do you
seriously?
remember that?
No,
Yeah.
no, I don't.
So there was some news about that. I can't remember specific details. I'll try my best to like look that up while we're
Yeah, I'd like to
podcasting.
see it.
But yeah, there was some kind of information that was dropped about 64 regarding the Switch. So sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
Yeah, that's really all I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I would like to know about that for sure. When it comes to the SNES part of it, here's my thing about them bringing SNES games to the Switch. Do I want it? Absolutely. But do I think from a business perspective, Nintendo needs to do it? Not necessarily. I think that that's like a trump card they know they can play whenever they want. So I don't think they need to bring it to the marketplace, especially when they've still got some heavy hitters coming out by the end of the year. You've got like, Luigi's Mansion 3, obviously. New Pokemon, is that this year or is that
Yep,
Yeah.
November.
March 2020? No, yeah, it is November.
Yeah.
So that's when the Switch Lite drops. So when it comes to the SNES games, of course I want to see them on there. And I would say most Nintendo fans look at that generation most fondly, probably, except for maybe the younger generation may be more to the 64 GameCube era. But like when I think about it, if I were Nintendo, I wouldn't drop SNES games unless I had to, because, if it's just going to become like white noise among a sea of other larger AAA releases, like from a marketing perspective, if it just doesn't really have major impact. But if I saw a quarter where sales were starting to dip for the system, or if it was like, oh man, okay, now we're a year into the Nintendo Online service and we're seeing a drop off of 20 or 30% of the user base because people don't think there's enough to draw them in aside from online multiplayer, maybe, I think that would be an ideal time to drop something like SNES games from their perspective. Now for fans, we want it like yesterday, right? But I think personally, I don't think we're going to see SNES games this year. I think at the earliest we'd see it like, I don't know, mid 2020 is my guess. I could be totally wrong. I'm no market analyst, but that's probably how I'd do it.
So yeah, it looks like sorry to cut you off, but it looks like the patent was specifically for a controller only. So if we're going by the history of what we got going on with the NES online network, the Switch, the Super Nintendo controller that was just kind of found, and then this controller, people were speculating that the controller patent was for the 64 Classic, but I personally think that is probably going to be somewhere in line with this online network feature. So I don't know if maybe they're probably going to be doing something that is catering to fans' wants and needs in terms of what they feel like the Switch should have. And I feel like that is a quote unquote virtual console style experience. But I think that they're going to go the route of this Netflix style stream the game kind of thing. Because when you're going to the online app for NES games, you're not really downloading each title. No. You know what I mean? So I don't know if it's just going to be the way that app is laid out, because I don't know if when I downloaded that app, it technically downloaded all of those games.
They're really small files too.
Yeah, it's really small files, so I don't really know. But it's interesting to see what they're planning on doing with that. If they plan on going the route where they're going to do 64 SNES, hell, if they did GameCube, I would lose my shit.
GameCube would be amazing.
Yeah.
I would be so excited because, I mean, we already have GameCube controllers, so you'll never really get a hint of that because the GameCube controller already exists.
Yeah, it's already in the infrastructure.
You know what I'm saying? So if they plan on going this route where it's like, hey, we're opening the floodgates to Nintendo history here, and they go NES, Super Nintendo, 64, GameCube, you'd be a fool not to own a Switch. I mean, at that point, like, it'd be crazy.
Yeah.
I just had a quick question about the 64 controller. Assuming that they did launch like a standalone N64 controller just for use with the Switch, would any of you actually buy that?
No.
I'm just curious.
Absolutely not.
So,
because for me, that'd be
honestly, you give me Atomic Purple see-through, I'm there day one. No problem.
I knew it.
Okay, like aesthetics aside, like for functionality, do you really want to play the games with that controller again?
I'll buy two just for aesthetics.
Here's the deal. I like the N64 controller. I think that a lot of people get misconstrued with like, oh, well, I can't touch the left bumper when I'm playing this. Yeah, well, dickhead, you're not supposed to be playing with that freaking style. You're supposed to be pushing the Z button and the analog stick because it's made if you're holding it like this or you're holding it like this. No game that I've ever played on the 64 required you to use this and the D-pad and the left bumper. Like, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So when I'm either using it like this or using it like this, I've never saw a problem with the 64 controller aside from the joystick itself. Like it has that weird like.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I felt.
Yeah,
But like in the
and-
modern age, like you
I
gave
like
me the
that.
choice between a Joy-Con
But
or
you know what the
that.
greatest thing about that is, Josh? You know what the greatest thing about that is? They make GameCube style joysticks for the 64 that you can swap them out with literally a ribbon
Oh.
cable.
I did not know that.
Yes.
That sounds interesting. I would
If you
give
go
that
to
a shot.
Castlemania Games, dude, CastlemaniaGames.com, you go hit up that website, you can get a legit GameCube
Nice
style.
plug.
It's a good website. Like you can find a lot of really cool stuff there. You can get a GameCube styled thumbstick for your like original 64 controllers or this new stuff. You know what I'm saying?
That's
so, like,
interesting.
It's pretty awesome.
I wouldn't mind trying that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, going back to the SNES, right? I feel like if the SNES is mid 2020, the N64 is probably 2021, if even. So, I think the interesting question that I have is with the SNES is how are they going to do it if they do it? A, is it going to be the NES style controller to where it can fit on the side of the Switch? Are they going to do that again? Or are they just going to release controllers that are just wireless that don't necessarily attach to the Switch? And then the same respect, when they do come out with the games, will they piecemeal it? Will it be part of their online service? Or will they drip feed it through their online service to just replace the NES library? I think those are the kind of like the main questions that I have when it does start to come out or officially get announced.
You know, it's weird. Like in the past, I would have said that, generally speaking, Nintendo wouldn't sell games piecemeal anymore because they wanted to basically make it so that you get locked into an ongoing subscription service, right? Because I think that over time they make more money that way. Because I think in the past, like even like whenever I would buy like eShop titles, like on the Wii, for example, I might download one or two and be like, oh, this is really cool. It's Super Mario Brothers. And then I would kind of never touch it again. Like it was a fun novelty for about 5 minutes, then I wouldn't go back to it. But if they can get you for $20 a year over and over again, that's like guaranteed money. But now, like, Turok was piecemealed out, so maybe I'm totally wrong in that regard. I just never would have thought so.
Yeah, same. I think they have the ability to make it lucrative either way that they go. Either they add it to their online service and maybe they charge more because of this additional library you're getting, or they do have the ability to potentially piecemeal it. I think the idea, though, which I will continue to say, the idea of the virtual console, I think we can pretty much just nix that's never going to become a thing, just because there's just too much money. There's just too much money that they can make off of their library and their history of games for that to be an option anymore.
Right. And that's the thing, like Nintendo's first party IPs are so strong that they can charge literally whatever they want and people are going to pay for it because Mario, Zelda, these are some of the most iconic video games of all time. And Nintendo's like, I remember when people were talking about like the this partnership they have with Microsoft going right now, they're like, "Ooh, do you think we'll see Mario on the Xbox?" I'm like, no way. I cannot imagine a world in which we see Mario grace on Xbox.
No.
I mean, anything's possible in this day and age.
I'm not I don't know. I mean,
we saw Sonic
I see what
rate
you're
himself
saying.
on, you know what I'm saying? Like it's like I would never put it past them. So here's the deal. I don't think that we will see mainline Mario stuff on a console.
Oh, like a spin-off
like
though?
Xbox. But you might see some kind of spin-off or maybe even like a DLC part, like I don't know, like just to kind of like celebrate some partnership or something, like maybe a skin or something like that in a Gears of War.
I might be able to see that because they did make the leap to iOS with Mario, and I never thought you would see that because people are like, "Ooh, why doesn't Nintendo put Mario on mobile?" Because there's millions of those devices that could play it. And I was like, at the time, like that's never going to happen.
Crazy,
and I mean, they did partner with Minecraft too to do that DLC that came out for Minecraft as well. But I think pre-Switch, I may have the idea of Mario or one of their main brands coming to a different platform. I may have been like, yeah, I can see that. But now the Switch has just exploded. I see Nintendo kind of getting more greedy with their IP and wanting it to just kind of be very like one note. Like Xbox, sure, come over to Switch, give us Super Lucky Tail, whatever. But I don't really see the opposite. At least in the current state.
Right. I think Microsoft needs Nintendo more than Nintendo needs Microsoft in this partnership. Now, ideally, like for Microsoft, I think the big sell is there are millions of Switches out there, and if we can get, if we really, ramp up Project xCloud and we can stream games comfortably to a variety of devices, including, smart TVs, tablets, phones across different manufacturers, then, that's just more devices that people can get it on. But if I could see one thing come out of the partnership, I just want to see Microsoft lend their not inconsiderable expertise in the world of enterprise cloud infrastructure and just give Nintendo a better online experience. That's all I want to see. That's it.
Yeah,
I hope that was part of their partnership deal.
Yeah, I hope so too. I think the last thing for the SNES controller, I think the last question that I have, which I don't have an answer to, is Nintendo's really focused on giving us online experiences for their classic games, and that's the one thing I see potentially halting a library of a lot of SNES games coming, is them adding online to Mario Kart or adding online co-op to Super Mario World or whatever. I see that maybe putting a stint on a huge rollout of SNES games when that does become available too, because they've just been so focused on adding that functionality to a lot of their NES titles, which is interesting.
Right.
So you're saying that you don't think that they're focusing on the mainline online aspect because you think that they're focusing on the retro multiplayer experience?
No, I think when SNES games start to roll out, I don't see them coming in full force. I see them getting very like, here's Super Mario Kart, and here it has online functionality. Here's one game. Then maybe the next month, maybe 2 months from there, we get another game sprinkled with NES games in between. Like, I don't see it like a full, here's 20 games, here's 40 games. I see it being something different.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, you're not going to get 20 like hard, like heavy hitters from Nintendo. That'd be stupid on their part. As much as we all want everything, as much as we all want everything yesterday, the problem is like if you, and sorry to put it this way, but if you blow your load the first like 10 seconds, you're not going to have anything to really entice people to come and want to sign up to your network. You know what I mean? Like if you give everybody everything they want the first month, what's the reason of staying after they've already played those games? You see what I'm saying? From a business standpoint, strictly. Like, why would people say, for example, you give everybody every single thing that main Nintendo game for Super Nintendo? What else do they release the next month? Like, then people are sitting here like, hey, what the hell? Like, why haven't you put any new games out?
Right. It deflates the draw of the platform.
I also do have a question, though. Who buys Nintendo Online monthly? It's like $20 a year. You pay for a monthly?
Yeah. No, you don't pay for a monthly.
Oh,
yeah,
month. I see what you mean.
So if I'm buying in, I'm buying in for the next year. They've already got my $20 or whatever. Like, are they
pretty sure I see a charge.
Like, what keeps people interested in coming back to the console to like? So here's the deal.
Okay, sure.
When I'm saying like, when I say that, it means like, hey, what's keeping people interested to come back to the console in terms of like retro enthusiasts? Because these games don't fucking appeal to like kids, man. Come on,
no.
let's be real. Like, the kids nowadays are interested in the modern stuff. Yeah, okay, they might dabble with that stuff, but the people that like really, did you have something to say, Dom?
No, I just scratched.
Okay, so the kids that are playing stuff nowadays, between like, let's say 10 years old to 16, okay, those kids are playing Fortnite. They're playing the hottest multiplayer stuff. They're playing Apex. They're playing whatever. Like, those aren't the kids that they're really aiming these services towards. These services are really geared towards old heads that really like the retro content. And the thing is like, to get those people to come back, because they might not be turning on their Switch for any sort of reason. They want people to come see what's up about the new thing that's been added. It gets you to turn on your console. It gets you to go, hey, what's going on in the eShop? Like, it really just gets you to kind of use your console. That's what it really is about. It's like, if you put it all like the SNES Classic, for example, you don't go turning your SNES Classic on once you've bought your SNES Classic, because they're not adding anything to it. They want you to turn it on and see what's up, because once you turn it on, you have a higher percentage of you going to the eShop, percentage of you going to buy something from the eShop, percentage of you buying some DLC or seeing what's new on the console in general in terms of apps, features, et cetera, because they're always rolling out updates. That's what I feel like.
In the same respect, then they should just switch and pivot over to something that they've tried with, what is it, Mario Tennis, to where they should be giving some of their IP that is good, but it's not quite their top tier. They should be giving those types of games away, because the kid who does play Fortnite will come over and play Mario Tennis or ARMS or Splatoon 2 now that they're not updating it anymore, because those games are still $60. Now, if you give one of those away for free, now I have a real reason to have online service, because it's not for their infrastructure to talk with my friends, right? So
yeah,
that's really where their focus should be. But yet, constantly in the news, it's classic games, SNES, NES games, the new controller, N64 hopefuls, right? But like you said, that's not really where their market is.
Yeah.
In a sense.
Yeah. And I think, like, for a more modern example, like to Rax's point about them not just releasing just a flood of games all at once. I mean, I think if there was a point in Nintendo's history where they learned that lesson in a big way, I think it was with the Wii U launch. Because I think that system launched with like 32 games, and it was just like this massive drought period for months where there was just like hardly anything. So I think they learned, if from no other experience than that one, like, hey, if we just blow everything out right now, then everyone's gonna be real excited, and then it's just gonna be crickets for a period of time, and kind of take a lot of the wind out of their sails.
That's actually why I sold my first Wii U. Like when I had the Legend of Zelda first, like when I first got my Wii U, I had a regular black Wii U, and then I got the Legend of Zelda Wii U. And I actually sold both of those right out of the gate. I was just like, dude, it's almost been a year and no new game has come out. Like, what have I bought into? Like, what is this console? And don't get me wrong, I think the Wii U is awesome. I think that the features that it has to offer is really cool, and I'm really disappointed that the console didn't do as good as I had hoped it would. But that's it. Just like you just made that point, when you got all that stuff in the beginning, and then you had that serious drought, and it was serious. Like there was like nothing coming out. I'm like, dude,
like this monsoon season we're having, it's terrible. Nothing.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Was that a cheap shot at Astral Chain? Am I not picking up on this joke?
No, we're actually having pretty bad monsoon season right now.
That cheap shot Astral Chain. I like it.
Yeah, I can't wait for Astral Chain.
I can't either. I think it's gonna be great. It's gonna be one of the platinum.
I changed
grades.
all the wallpapers on the computers at work to Astral Chain.
Gonna be great.
So you should use my drought as
a transition.
Yeah.
Well, you know what's falling upon a certain company? When we're talking about drought, we want to talk about money, and there's not a whole lot of money falling on one company. Now, is there, Mr. Monopulse?
There's not
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah,
that was good.
You're welcome.
The once beloved and still beloved Loot Crate files for bankruptcy and lays off workers, but promises to ship remaining boxes. This coming out from Gizmodo. So Loot Crates was the once go-to company for monthly shipments of geek and gamer gear, but now its stock has run dry. The company is filing for bankruptcy and has laid off dozens of employees on top of the 150 warehouse workers who were let go last month. Now, Loot Crate has said it plans to ship all remaining boxes to customers, but given how behind it already is, it seems like a tough promise to keep. They had a recent press release where they announced plans to file Chapter 11 bankruptcy and reports financial troubles. Basically, they defaulted on a $21 million loan in 2017, even though they have about 250,000 suppliers. The bankruptcy filing and overall financial woes have devastated the company's workforce. Last month, Loot Crate closed its warehouse and laid off those 150 workers. Co-founder Christopher Davis promised in the press release that daily operations will continue as usual. Unique and exciting exciting fan items will be purchased, crates will be shipped, and all aspects of our business will go on as before the Chapter 11 filing. Our employees will continue to be paid as usual during this transition.
Wah, wah.
So, quick random question. Rax, I remember in the very beginning you had said that you had done an unboxing. By chance, was it by Loot Crate?
No.
Oh, okay. Okay, that was my only question.
No wonder they're going bankrupt.
Great. Like I thought so before I started my channel, I almost made my channel Loot Crate unboxings like part of my channel. Because I was buying so many of those damn things, and I really thought that it was cool. But at the same time, over time, as I started my channel, the Loot Crate started getting really, really kind of
Shitty.
bare bones. Like, yeah, I didn't want to say shitty, but like
It's fine. Just say shitty. It's fine. It's
yeah,
okay.
they were getting kind of shitty. You know what I mean? Like, so I would get stuff that I was really not excited about. The shirts started to be less cool. The themes that they were going for were all over the damn place. Like I would get, like, say for example, if I got like a Dragon Ball box or something, it would come with like 1 or 2 Dragon Ball items, and the rest is like Naruto or some shit. And I'm like, dude, I don't fucking care about Naruto. Like,
yeah, who fucking
this
cares?
is the Dragon Ball box, bitch. Give me Dragon Ball stuff. Like, I want Dragon Ball stuff. I want Dragon Balls. Like, oh wait, I'm sorry.
Give Rax the Dragon Balls.
Give me the Dragon Balls. No, just kidding. But yeah, like I really wanted more, consistent themes. Like if you gave me Dragon Ball, give me every single item in that box Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it should be everything in the box Dragon Ball, not like 3 Dragon Ball things, then a Hatsune Miku necklace and
whoa. Give me that Miku necklace. Yeah, put it around.
Yeah, I don't care, but that's the thing. Like, if you put that in a Hatsune Miku freaking box, okay? Like, Hatsune Miku's great.
You know, like anime?
But, listen, I like anime, but shut up. I'm trying to talk. If you give me the Dragon Ball box, I want everything Dragon Ball. If you give me the Hatsune Miku box, everything be Hatsune Miku. That's great. But I want it to be themed 100% the way that it was, you know what I mean? And not for anything, but they were including really stupid stuff. Like I'd get
oven mitts, like an oven mitt.
Yeah, who the hell? Like, come on, bro. Like
they
anime
did a recall
people,
on that one.
Yeah,
if you don't
it didn't
remember.
even work.
The
actually,
Thanos.
Yeah, Dom used it and
man,
legitimately
dude,
it caught on
so funny.
fire.
I was like, yeah, that's gone.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah,
so
it was pretty bad.
yeah, dude, I got like the reason why I brought up Hatsune Miku is because I actually did get. Hey Jay, listen, dude. All right, don't come up in here with the chat talking snack because I'll start laying some fucking insults down on you. Okay, like right here live on the internet. But I got a Hatsune Miku light up leak. You know what a leak is?
No.
Wait.
Okay.
Wait.
Yeah, I know
like,
what a leak is. You know,
like-
light up leak.
The leak spin thing, where it's like the Hatsune Miku character is holding the fucking. It's like an onion.
Like a plant?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's what
Oh.
Farfetch.
Okay. Yeah.
The green
Farfetch
thing.
was.
Oh.
By the way,
oh my
hashtag
God.
raisins. Okay, you guys really like raisins, right? Just say yes.
No. No.
Fucking Josh.
I
damn
saw
it!
this and refused to engage. Raisins are gross. Pineapple on pizza, okay. Raisins
are
not okay.
godlike.
No, I don't
fucking-
agree with that either.
Everybody.
No, fuck pineapples
No
on
pineapple on
pizza.
pizza.
Man, fuck
No.
you
There's,
guys,
I have
dude.
no allies in this. Okay.
You guys are.
No.
You guys are.
Well, it's been great, you guys. I appreciate you.
I've got a raisin war. I've got a raisin war going on with Hey Jay, and I needed people to be on my.
I saw,
on my
like I
side.
saw it. I was like, I don't want to touch
Shut
this. It's
up,
so
dude.
controversial.
So
I'll
controversial.
do it now live on a podcast.
Well, I guess Josh is
mean-
on your team, Hey Jay.
Well,
so
do grapes
Hey,
count?
best friend.
Because technically that's what a raisin is. It's just dried up.
speaking of which, Hey Jay, you guys should have Hey Jay on one night. He's awesome.
No, I just checked out his channel right now. He looks pretty professional. Look
Hey.
at this guy.
He's pretty good.
So going back to Loot Crate, right?
Yeah, you're weak.
I'm on the same page as you. We had Loot Crate, but we canceled it for the same thing. And Loot Crate was one of the very few. I don't usually very much feel passionate to provide feedback, but Loot Crate was one of the very few ones that actually went out of my way, opened the email, and provided feedback and I just basically said, I hate your box. This box was terrible. I don't like this item, this item, this. I didn't want a book. I didn't want the Doom Squad. I didn't want the oven mitt. I didn't want the Sonic little tassels for the car. I didn't want any of that. And eventually I just canceled it because it was no longer... none of my interests were there. Even one month, I think it was like, oh, it's a Doom box. All they included was a Doom poster. And I was like, yeah, I think this is this is the month where I'm out. I think I'm done here, and I never look back, honestly. So
That's kind of what happened to me. Like it was around 2014. I was subscribed to 2 box services. One of them was Loot Crate, and I think I stayed subscribed for about 6 or 7 months. And at a certain point, like I would usually find like 1 or 2 cool items in there that I kind of like. But at a certain point, I'm just like, why am I paying like 15, 16 bucks a month for this when I could just buy 1 or 2 like a cool pop vinyl that I like or something that speaks to my interests and have direct control over it. Like it got to the point where that thrill of the unknown was never really kind of followed through on for me. Like it never hit me so hard that I'm like, "Ooh, what a tremendous service that I'm paying for." I just got kind of tired of it. And the other box that I subscribed to that also ended up going away, or at least modifying its business model, was Indie Box. And I think I have like 10 or 15 Indie Box games that were never open because like the Steam code was on the outside of and everything. And I guess they're kind of rare physical collector's editions now. But I think that's a really hard business to make successful. And I think some of the ones that are surviving right now, I think they do so just because they have a tighter control over distribution and what they're actually able to put in there. With Loot Crate, because they're doing stuff like posters and mugs and toys and all this other stuff, that means that they have to work with a ton of different partners to make that merchandise available. And then they also have to make sure that they're shaving the margins down enough that they can keep a profit for those monthly boxes going out. If you're only giving them $15 a month, they're not, overspending on that. So I would be very curious to understand the logistics or why it went under. My guess is that it will be a combination of just making bad plays with partnerships in terms of thinking of the merchandise they thought people would want because they thought they could shave the margins and make a bigger profit. And 2 is I think would be just the story that you and I have, where it's like that quality becomes so inconsistent from month to month that a large percentage of your subscribers just start piecing out and going elsewhere.
Yeah, and also I mean I remember when I found out about Loot Crate, I think 2015. I felt like the moment I subscribed to Loot Crate, I suddenly was revealed to like a ton of other boxes. Like, oh, you like anime? Here's an anime box. You like Japan Sweets?
Yeah.
Here's Japan Sweet box. And then eventually it just became like I just want the shirt, and I was like, well, you know what I can do? I just buy the shirts I want. So then at that point too, it's like So I'm assuming that the subscribers just really drastically just took a huge plunge. And there's not really getting back from that, because how do you, after you left a bad taste in your customer's mouth, how do you really kind of climb back up from that?
Maybe this is too far of a stretch, but I almost feel like a Loot Crate and services where it's like it's kind of a mystery, it's kind of random, but you're probably gonna make out. That's almost like the physical version. Loot Crate is almost the physical version of loot boxes in a way. The more that I think about it, if you're paying your personal price, but you're not 100% sure what you're gonna get.
I mean, to be honest, I was okay when Dom canceled the Loot Crates. But at the same time, like when he canceled it, we actually had like other loot boxes come out. But to like Rax's defense, we're solely just around one particular item. Like I've gotten My Hero Academia loot box, but it was just solely around the anime of My Hero. Same thing with the Ancient Magus Bride. I was a huge fan with that anime, and it came with a bunch of great stuff. Like I got a manga, a Chase Funko Pop out of it, and just a lot of cute little things just like that. Those I'd rather buy into versus just a random themed one. Like we had random themed ones for the loot box, like Zombie Month. I don't fucking like Walking Dead. I didn't care for it. And so like those months, like again, in Rax's defense, I hated those months, and it was ridiculous. I didn't care for them, and so I mean, I was okay canceling it because I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'm just wasting my money at this point.
And this is exactly the theme of why they're going out of business, is because of all of these feelings that we have. Well, not going out of business, but
a panel scorned by loot boxes. What it sounds like.
Not me, bro. I'm pissed. I found out about loot boxes when like they were first starting to get hot, like in 2014, 2015. But I was only like 15 years old, so I couldn't subscribe to it, bro.
No.
You just have to watch the unboxing. It's like I would like that.
Shirt. I watched all those.
I would like that oven mitt.
My nephew was like that. He would watch me and Dom do the unboxings, and he would literally beg my sister, "Mom, please."
They were so cool
crate.
Back in the day, man.
Yeah, I thought we were gonna blow up. I was like, this is our niche. This is us now, baby.
I watch Shady Penguin open them every week, man. I was so excited.
Every week. They're only once a month.
Or, I mean, every time he made a video. I don't know why I said week.
Maybe just rewatched him every week.
I did.
That's where you got all them views from. Watch me
I
open the
love shady
boxes.
things.
Well, I mean, what's not shady, and there recently has been some light shed on the PlayStation 5. So that has come through the clouds. The clouds have parted, and some light has come down on some potential specs that the PlayStation 5 might have. And that leads me over to Christopher.
Yeah, loot boxes may be on the decline, but the next gen consoles are on the rise. Rumor has it PlayStation 5
Pretty good.
to be almost as powerful as the RTX 2080, the GPU to be clocked at 2 gigahertz. Meanwhile, incidentally, maybe Xbox Scarlet specs have started to be revealed by Phil Spencer as well. And we're going to take a look at both of those sides of the big players. So there's still a lot we don't know about the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Scarlet consoles, of course, but rumors hint at the fact that both will be very powerful, of course. Komachi leaked Oberon sample clocks, which is assumed to be the same name as Ariel or Gonzalo, both considered to be the name of the APU for the PlayStation 5, developed by AMD, sharing a similar architecture as the Navi 5700 GPU. And this leak states as follows: Gen 0, 800 megahertz, Gen 1, 911 megahertz, and Gen 2, 2000 megahertz. That's 2 gigahertz, folks. So double the clock rate of the previous iteration. This equates to 9.2 teraflops in the RDNA architecture, which is that architecture for the Navi GPU, or roughly 14 teraflops on the GCN architecture, basically equating to lots of flops, lots of power, and at least double the raw graphic rendering of the previous PS4. Meanwhile, Xbox Scarlet fans have been given a taste of what to expect from the next gen's console. And you know what? This is going to appease you, Rax. This is going to appease you, Dom, and probably plenty of other people's. They want to ensure that games load incredibly fast, ensuring that the game is running at the highest frame rate possible. We're also basically they're saying we're the Windows company, so we like to see the work that goes on for PC. People love 60 frames per second and 4K, and I think what we're wanting to do is have that be the design go, maintaining 4K 60 frames, no dips. That's the interesting thing. This generation, we've really focused on 4K and visuals, but moving forward, we want playability to be the bigger focus for this generation.
I mean, you got Rax all hot and bothered over there. I saw a little sweat
That's
drip
what
right
dream-
now.
that's
As soon
what-
as you
that's
said
what dreams are
frame,
made of.
frame rate,
Our son does that. I'm not even joking.
Phil Spencer got him, boys. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I am extremely happy that they're prioritizing frame rate. I've said it many, many times. I don't really necessarily care about 8K. I don't mind that the new generation of boxes are going to be able to render out 8K video. I don't necessarily think that the next step is to worry about 8K rendering as far as video games. We can't even really do 4K 60 at this point, even on a 2080 Ti, which is beyond what they're kind of predicting right now. You can't even do that like stably very often, and it has to be extremely, I see you making faces over there, it has to be extremely well optimized. You have to at least give me that to hit 4K 60, right? So the fact that the new systems can't even hit 2080 numbers, which is not 2080 Ti numbers, that tells me that 4K 60 still might be a pipe dream. So if they can prioritize 60 frames or potential of 60 frames over 8K, because 8K, I mean, best case, 15 frames? I don't even know at this point. Then, I mean, that provides me a clearer picture of where we're heading, because I don't think that the new generation is going to be marginally, it's not going to be as huge of a leap as we think. It's just going to be a very small baby leap over where we're at today. So,
well, it is going to bring us to where we're kind of seeing the median fall on PC gaming, as far as like the top end 2080 series. But it does beg the question, why can't AMD make a good graphics card for the PC and they swallow up that APU market? Whatever that answer is, be it, it's optimized for that one console or whatever. I do think that we need to stray away from the 8K focus. I'm glad to see they're just going for 60 frames, man. That's all anybody wants. When
it comes to spec wars, here's my thing. I get so tired of it. And it's not because I don't think they're going to create beautiful graphics. I think both, I mean, obviously the PlayStation 5 is going to be gorgeous. Scarlett's going to be gorgeous. That I don't doubt. But what scares me is when big manufacturers get into a war over specs and they make that their primary selling point. Because Microsoft's biggest problem isn't, the ability to make a graphical powerhouse, right? It already did it this generation with the Xbox One X, which I'm pretty sure is undisputedly the most powerful console graphically that you can get right now.
Yes.
But where they've been heavily criticized, that's been sort of an ongoing concern, is their lack of games. Now, to their credit, they have tried to offset that by, snatching up a lot of studios. Then they've got, some very cool things that are going to be coming out. But, it almost reminds me of whenever you see regular like Windows PC manufacturers do their marketing versus Apple's marketing. Now, admittedly, I'm a little bit of an Apple fanboy, but I'm also platform independent enough to admit that each platform has its strengths. But one of the things that I always notice in the marketing, specifically for Apple products versus other products in the marketplace, even down to smartphones, is you'll see Samsung be like, look how look how much storage we have. Look at the memory. Look at the CPU. But then Apple will be like, look at the things that you can do. Look how this product makes you feel. Think of the memories you can capture with an improved camera. They've never really had to go the route of specs. And to that end, I think Nintendo is kind of taking the same route in their marketing as well. They didn't hit us with a Nintendo Switch being like, look how powerful this handheld is. They were like, hey, you're a busy millennial who's approaching your 30s now, and you have to game on the go. Doesn't that feel nice to recapture your nostalgia while you're stuck on a plane? Which I don't see it happen that often, but I have done it. And I was like, this is tremendous. This marketing is custom tailored to me. So, in that regard, like, I don't know who's going to win out in terms of which one's going to be more stable. All I know is that both of those major manufacturers have had some hardware issues in the past. I'm thinking back to like the 360 era maybe, or the PS2 like disc read errors that used to be so prevalent for the blue bottom discs. But yeah, for me, specs just aren't as important as who's going to have a great experience.
That's a fair point too. And I will say this: I mean, we don't really know what the experience PlayStation is trying to deliver. I mean, they really haven't kind of touched on that, but I do like the human element Phil Spencer is given to, we kind of hear you loud and clear. We're not going to push the resolution war. We're just going to try to give you playability, which cool. kind of speaks to that, to that end.
Right.
So.
Like, honestly, I think technically speaking, and I don't know, some people may not agree with this, I think Sony may be in the worst position for the next wave of where the console wars are going to be going, right? Because we're not really just looking at the big three anymore. Now we have these new players entering the marketplace with, Google with Stadia. Amazon, I imagine, is going to get into that space in a larger way at some point, with its Kindle device, or Kindle Fire and those devices everywhere. Apple's making a push into gaming, snatching up some AAA talent to try to push, gaming on the Apple TV or the next generation of that. But then, with Nintendo, they can rely on the strength of their first party IPs, right? Yeah. Microsoft can rely on the power of its lean on the other divisions in its business. Like, it's got, again, an incredible history when it comes to business enterprise. They've got server farms, they've got back-end technology that can fuel all kinds of amazing things, not the least of which is Project X Cloud, which granted could be hamstrung by internet connection speeds. We'll have to see how that works out in the end. Right. But Sony, if the only thing they have is competing on specs, I think that's going to put them in a really bad position for all of these, cloud-based services. They're going to start gradually seeping their way into the minds of gamers all over the world. But then again, I wouldn't underestimate Sony either, right? They're definitely a strong opponent. And then on top of that, they have historically provided a ton of amazing first-party or exclusive experiences on their platform. So I think from a technological standpoint, they're at a disadvantage, but from like a gamer mindset, or where we expect to get really great experiences, from the console platform, I think they're in a good position.
Yeah, I'm in full agreement. I think you hit the nail on the head. I think that in the next generation, I don't necessarily see Sony winning the power battle, but I do think though that when it comes to just first party strong titles with what they already have, right? They had God of War, Spider-Man, Horizon. You got to think of the second iterations of all of these games coming into the next generation. Not only that, this new generation is basically kind of starting with Death Stranding, because that will be multi-generational.
Yes.
I think that Scarlet may come out and be more of a powerful box again. But I think when it comes down to who will win, I think, again, it'll just come down, like you said earlier, to the games. But at the same time, if people are, though, expecting this powerhouse of boxes, this next generation, I think that people do need to kind of temper their expectations, because the RTX 2080, it's an amazing card. But at the same time, it's, if you were to see what it can do at its best, I mean, when you already see the best this generation, like the God of Wars, the Spider-Mans, these really graphically beautiful games, I don't think the leap is really going to be like that.
Not like
big.
incremental, evolutionary,
Yeah.
not
Well,
revolutionary, maybe.
Yes.
No.
yes.
The thing that you're really going to get from this, I mean, the generation from 2080 to 1080 to 2080. Yeah, we have the ray tracing, which ultimately, honestly, was a little bit of a faux pas because you couldn't enable it on 1080 cards, so it was software locked the whole time, right?
Mhm.
The hardware could do it,
Mhm.
but it wasn't until they released the what is it, Volta Turing, whatever the architecture is now. But this generation, and as far as video cards is concerned, is actually really like you have the ray tracing, but really it's about playability. Over, I mean, the 1080 Ti was a great card, but no, we're not rendering anything. We're looking at stable 4K resolutions. I mean, 2080 Ti can hit just about 60 a lot of the time. So it is like so then the consoles will be sort of following in that suit of just trying to find the baseline that's already occurring within the current PC generation.
Yeah. I think the thing
So-
that excites me the most about the new generation is their focus on SSD loading times.
Yes.
All of this quality of
That
life
should have
stuff.
been 5 years ago, dude.
Yeah, in the same
Like real
respect,
talk.
yes, I agree. But I still like the fact that they are focusing on it now, because those differences of having that loading time and things, I think people will notice that the most. And then the people who aren't aware or don't have PC or they don't PC game are going to be like, oh my God, this is next generation stuff, right? And that's their market. Period. The end, What up?
Nick,
We got another contestant.
Hola.
He's blazing in. Sonic.
What's up?
Yo,
Yes,
what's
sir.
going on?
Gotta go fast.
Gotta go fast,
Hey,
man.
well, there we
How was
go.
Gotta go
prison?
fast.
Meow.
It's great, it's just prison, being in prison.
Prison.
I mean, pretty much is where I don't work at a prison, but my work is prison. So there you go.
I don't work at a prison. Well, speaking about having to go fast, have you guys heard the news of Need for Speed? Because, Chris, there's been some Need for Speed in the news.
Yeah, just recently come out, newly announced. Need for Speed has some serious Vice City vibes, and I have to agree with that. This coming from Kotaku. Need for Speed Heat was just announced as the newest entry into the long-running series. A stylish trailer showed off elements we've come to expect from these games, like police chases and car customization. It also showed off a Florida setting and some neon aesthetics. Good news for folks who both like Need for Speed and maybe are nostalgic for GTA Vice City. The fresh and fast racing game will release on November 5th on Origin Access Premier Play, and then November 8th for the rest of the world. Players will race through Palm City, compete in street races, and kind of earn money and reputation at fairly typical of these style of games. So the last Need for Speed was in 2017, which was Payback, which drew criticism for its microtransactions, as they do. In a press release, Riley Cooper, creative director at Ghost Games, stated that fans have been clear that they want more cars, more customization, more challenges, and we are tuning up on every aspect.
Tuning up
We
on
got
every
any-
aspect.
We got any car game, racing game enthusiasts? Any of them?
Not at all.
Vroom vroomers?
You played a Need for
really,
Speed
really,
game.
really, really, really big into racing games. Like I was one of those guys that dude, I have to have one of those hydraulic racing wheel seat setups.
Yo.
Dude, I used to be all into it. Like Gran Turismo was my life.
Got that Logitech?
Dude, the G27 or whatever.
Mhm.
Dude, I'm telling you what, man. I used to be all about that life. And then Gran Turismo kind of just went stale, and then Forza was like the big thing, and it almost turned into like the Madden of racing games. And
Yeah.
I'm just like, what the hell is going on? I'm like, I feel like the racing game genre has kind of fell into the side. I really don't think that any racing games give anybody the feeling that a Need for Speed Underground or a Need for Speed Underground 2 gave us when we were kids. So I don't know, man. It's really hard to say.
It's a little weird. I mean, I'm not gonna be one to talk. I'm not I'm not a racing dude, but I can draw a line. I like flight sims, so I think people who enjoy the Gran Turismo, the Forza, or whatever it is, we can kind of find some common ground there. This is about immersion into the experience, right? The last like Need for Speed I touched may have literally been Hot Pursuit.
Ooh, that's such a classic.
For PlayStation, right?
2. PlayStation
Wow.
2.
Wasn't there a Hot Pursuit for PlayStation?
PlayStation
PSX.
1 is going to be Need for Speed Porsche Unleashed.
Yeah, I think they stopped
I
at
swear there was a Hot Pursuit for
Most
PlayStation.
Wanted,
I'm
I
probably
think, was
wrong.
the
though. Maybe it was the second.
I think you're right. I remember there being a Hot Pursuit.
I've really felt, unless I'm in the
familiar.
different
There might have been a
timeline.
Hot
What
Pursuit.
timeline are we in?
I think it might have been toward like the very end of the cycle, but I think you're right.
Maybe.
I remember.
It was around
vaguely
Test Drive
remember being a
5
hot- Yeah.
ish.
I think I might own all of those Need for Speed games. I don't know. Porsche Unleashed was the last one.
Super Monkey Ball was my last racing game.
Need for Speed 3 Hot Pursuit PlayStation ISO download here. So there was a Hot Pursuit for PlayStation, and that is the one that I am talking about. So it's been a hot minute.
Dude, my
That's
games
very
were
nice.
good.
Also, Text News Gadget, thank you so much for the follow. We appreciate you.
My game was Underground. That was my Need for Speed game.
Yeah.
Like, that was the one that I like went to town on when I was younger. Like that was it.
What platform? GameCube, Xbox, PlayStation 2?
Oh,
Where'd you
obviously it
have
was GameCube because
Oof,
I was a
my
GameCube
man.
guy. So
Yes, me too.
yeah, I was killing on the GameCube. But man, I
Yeah,
had that
same.
game. My cousin had my game. Everybody I knew played that game.
Do you have an orange
and that was
Supra?
the only racer that was like, nah, I didn't have an orange Supra.
Yeah, yes.
Right?
But
was
man,
just
that was
waiting
like
for,
the
like,
only
I
racing
Plead the
game I
Fifth.
know. I think because at the time, Fast and the Furious was big, and that
Oh,
was
yeah.
like a big thing. So like Underground
Right.
was like that game that everybody wanted to play. So that's like my favorite one as far. But like this new idea that they're talking about, it sounds very similar to what Forza is and Forza Horizon is kind of. So I don't know if they're just trying to take a page out of that book.
They try to snatch up some of that market share, you think?
Yeah, I
I'm-
think they are.
I mean, in a way, but if you look at it though, like with the cutscenes, it just looks like more of Payback, which I played and it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't good by any means either. It just looks like Payback in Miami. That's like kind of midnight clubby. I don't know. I don't want to necessarily want to say
Midnight
Midnight
Club.
Club
Ford.
was so good.
Yeah,
Midnight
this
Club.
doesn't look good though. That's the problem.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about like Nick. I was super into Need for Speed Underground on the GameCube. To a lesser degree, Need for Speed Underground 2 was okay. I really liked Need for Speed Most Wanted during the 360 launch, if I recall it. I think that was the
Yep,
one.
love that game.
And for games like this, it's like I've always been more of an arcade racer fan, right?
Mhm.
Like Horizon Chase Turbo is like, one of the more of a throwback to like old school racing arcade games, which I think is a lot of fun. But when it comes to even like more realistic style racers, like I'm never going to get into a game like Gran Turismo. Like I'll occasionally check out Forza, but it's too realistic for me. I want physics that are completely bonkers, right? Give me a game
So
like Need for Speed or Burnout
San
or
Francisco Rush.
San
Boom!
Francisco Rush.
Dude,
But at first I was
Stunt
very
tracks.
confused when you were like, "Ooh, this is going to be like Grand Theft Auto," and I was like, "God," I was like, "Wait, you mean just like aesthetically? Or are they actually adding some gunplay to Need for Speed?" And then as I was sitting here thinking about it, like the Fast and the Furious series used to be about racing. Now it's just a straight up action franchise,
Yeah,
and
You're
I
right.
love it. It's incredible, and I'll see all of them. But if they did the same thing for Need for Speed, like if they were just like, we're done trying to please people, let's just do something crazy and new, we're going to turn into its own Grand Theft Auto thing, I think I would get on that train. I would be okay with it, I think. Just because I feel like I've seen so many iterations of Need for Speed, and not all of them have hit in the way that I wanted them to. I wouldn't mind if they took some crazy risk and made a
Some
left
crazy
turn.
rebrand.
Ah.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was bad. But yeah.
I'd be more supportive of them and their choices if they were to remaster one of their like gems that they had, like Underground or
yeah.
Hot
Remake
That would
Pursuit.
be amazing.
Underground.
I would be
Bring back the
super on board
Snoop
with
Dogg
that.
Rider in the Storm remix. Like bring it back.
Absolutely.
Like that was the golden age, I feel, of EA and their games, was that era when they had EA big and we're coming out with Underground and Def Jam and
I was going to say, like, Def Jam Vendetta was the first
Def
thing I
Jam
thought of when you
Vendetta,
said
Def
that.
Jam Fight from New York, the NFL streets, the NBA streets. And EA was killing it before, they became the evil EA.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And now if they can't nickel and dime you or give you, maybe they'll do like Need for Speed Ultimate Team. You recruit a team of racers or something.
You recruit, like, what's that dude's name? Taylor, I can't remember his name. Is the dude's always on like
Car
that-
packs. You get
car
a little
packs,
car
like-
packs.
get certain
Jesse
racers.
Owens.
I love that dog.
I know. I was gonna say like
Y'all love my dog.
another special guest.
Sorry.
I want it.
He's so cute.
He's so chill.
But we'll see. We'll see what Need for Speed brings. But the fact that they announced it just kind of out of nowhere, wasn't it E3? Was this Gamescom? Was this a Gamescom announcement?
Seems like it.
Is that what
Right.
it was? Anyways, it
Timeline-
wasn't.
I
timeline
don't know. It
fits.
just got like left field, honestly.
Yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't anything big. So I mean, it kind of worries me that it's probably gonna be trash. And what's even worse is the last one was 2017. So it's been a while too. So I mean, I'll have high hopes. I've always loved the Need for Speed series,
Oh,
but
I like that. Need for Speed, the world is yours.
that's not bad. That's not
Need
bad.
for Speed. The world is not enough. James Bond crossover.
To the moon.
Dude, that was actually a good James Bond game too, man.
Well, I mean, you know who's really doing some 007 work is Nintendo, and they're cracking down on YouTube. People who have their music on it. Isn't that right, Chris?
Yeah.
I miss Jakin. I do dearly, but we're going to be able to speak freely and openly without Nintendo America putting in any of their finer points
representation.
Tonight. No representation tonight. Nintendo is cracking down on popular YouTube music channels.
Mhm.
It's coming out of Kotaku. So a popular YouTube channel dedicated to sharing video game music was recently hit with over 100 copyright claims. The
What
latest to
bastard.
fall under intense scrutiny as Nintendo appears to be ramping up efforts to prevent the illicit distribution of its music. Game Over, the YouTube channel Gilva Sunner, which has over 300,000 subscribers, wrote on Twitter yesterday. Well, this was a few days ago. They also shared a screenshot of an email inbox displaying dozens of copyright claims against video game music ranging from The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time's Hyrule Field, Mega Man 2 medley from Smash Brothers 3DS. So Gilver Sunner shared another bevy of copyright claims, this time against videos featuring music from Fire Emblem Awakening. 115 videos have been totally blocked so far. The YouTuber said they started manually with the most viewed content on the channel, are now going through the playlist one by one, I guess. Nintendo did not respond to a request for comment at the time this article was published.
Nick, what are you doing? why are you blocking all our songs?
What am I doing? Look. Okay, like I'm only upset about this. One, because this is where I got all my music from whenever I would learn to do these cover songs. I went to these channels. Like Silver Gunner was a big one. Justify is another one who's still up that I'm thinking is gonna be going down soon. The other one, I can't remember the name, was like Brawl something. They went down because they were extending the music to like 15 minutes per song. So I mean, I don't know what to tell you. All I know is that, ironically, because these channels have gone down, my music channel has seen a spike in activity. So sorry about y'all, but I'm chill. I'm good over here.
That deserves the claps. Cue the claps. There it is.
So I'm going to speak frankly and personally real quick. I understand completely Nintendo saying this is mine for me. It's mine. It's mine. It's mine. It's mine. But I think there's plenty of, albeit anecdotal because it's never been verified by Nintendo, of Nintendo itself using, pirated distros of their ROMs bit by bit or emulators. And now Dom didn't make the argument, well, it may be a pirate, but it's also their proprietary software or what have you. So they're redistributing what's essentially theirs, but really just in poor taste, I suppose. I don't know. That's my thoughts on it.
No, I'm on the same page too, because most of the music is not really like, where do you find this music? A lot of it is like music that you can't, it's not easily accessible. So that's where a lot of these channels exist, is to go get this really niche music, right? Where do you find the soundtrack for Fire Emblem on the GBA?
Where's the OSTs?
Right?
I think they're getting ready to start distributing some of these soundtracks, because I know Octopath Traveler recently just went up. Fire Emblem, the soundtrack is actually leaked, disc 1 and 2. They haven't put it up yet, but that's actually leaked. Like, I'm pretty sure they're going to start distributing some of this stuff. Like,
yeah, I mean, if they
that's what it
suddenly
looks
come
like.
out with a Nintendo YouTube Music channel or something, then that's one thing, right? But if that doesn't happen, or I
Yeah, if
mean,
they don't happen, then yeah, this is kind of important.
it's just kind of sleazy. I don't know, especially I mean, who's asking for the F-Zero soundtrack from the Snes? You know what I mean? Like, let these channels exist. It's I don't know.
Josh's.
Yeah, I have conflicting feelings on this whole. I like, it, but like I have conflicting feelings on the whole thing. From just a personal perspective, as a gamer and a fan of a lot of video game music soundtracks, it sucks because like I'll give you an example of one that even I legitimately own. Like some of the Silent Hill games, I think it was 2 and 3, I want to say, actually came with the soundtrack disc, right? But we're kind of we've even moved away really from the digital music generation into the streaming music generation, right? Like almost everyone's getting their music through streaming services right now. Like I pay $15 a month for Spotify, not because I can't pirate music, but because at that price point, it becomes such a time saver that it is more convenient for me to just pay the money than to manually download MP3s and organize them and worry about storing them on hard drives and everything.
Yeah.
But the thing that sucks about services like Spotify is they almost never have complete collections of actual video game music. You'll find a ton of covers from bands that do a really good job, on a lot of that original music, but the present company included.
I like that though. Like I like the remixes on Spotify. Like,
oh no, I love them. But
Yeah.
I like the original stuff. But that's the thing too, is like and then another part of me is like, from a preservation standpoint, historically, companies have done horrible jobs at preserving their own video game experiences, whether that's because like the original discs that hold that data get lost, or a merger and acquisition happens and things get lost in the shuffle. Like companies just don't do a good job of preserving what is definitely art, and in my opinion, some of the best art humanity has created, because it's interactive and very experience based, right? You take 10 people and have them play a game of Metal Gear, they're gonna have 10 totally different experiences. I mean, technically I guess all art's interpretive, but then also I see it from Nintendo's side too, right? Just because that stuff exists, and even though there's a market that wants it, doesn't necessarily give anybody who wants to the right to distribute that on their behalf and to make money from it. Because I'm assuming a lot of these people that put this music out there are profiting. Is that a fair statement, or is it not? Am I wrong?
I think they might have been, yes.
They're monetizing for sure.
But you know what? Nintendo could have just easily just said, okay, leave it up and we'll just monetize it. And just left it up if they really wanted to do that.
And that's the thing, that like that's where I think it gets sort of sleazy, right? The only other thing I can see from a business perspective would be if Nintendo is preparing to maybe launch its own paid subscription service for some of their music. But even then, I'm not going to want to pay for that when I can go to YouTube and find games from, or find music from games from first and third party people that were on that system. Because even Nintendo isn't going to have tracks for some of the third party releases that came out on their system like years ago, nor will they even have the rights to it, if it even exists, like anywhere in like an official format. I mean.
And you know what, that is kind of, that's a good point, because most of those channels did have more than Nintendo games on those channels. They did have PlayStation and Sega.
Right.
I remember that's where a lot of the Sonic the Hedgehog stuff that I've listened to, was there. So yeah, you're right about that. They would take those down as well. It's kind of like Love ROMs whenever Nintendo went after them. Well, they went to PlayStation and Sega ROMs along with them. So
yeah,
but it's also oh, sorry, go ahead, Dom.
No, I was gonna say the same thing too. Is like, even if they do launch a service, it's gonna be for like their very subset of really popular games. They're not gonna have a lot of, like you were saying, like a lot of the third party games that you're gonna find these just very specific tracks that were 45 seconds or whatever that exist on YouTube today. So
right.
And go ahead.
Oh no, you go ahead, man.
I was just gonna say, whenever Nintendo like stomps, the footprint's huge. I mean, emulator sites right now are ghost town. Like, it's crushed. And if they're moving on to music, it's gonna be crushed. Like, if there's even an ounce of any sort of copyright infringement, kiss it goodbye. It's going to be gone. People are going to be afraid to post it. They're going to slam me with everything. And the thing about it is like you said, just to piggyback to that, Dom, that what led me into this is like, they stomp the boot, they choke out, but where can I get that official release of that weird game that I want to play? Oh, I've got an NES online thing that has like 20 games on it that nobody really cares about. I don't have a virtual console coming out, and I don't have any kind of remaster or redistribution coming out. So no fun zone. I mean,
and any redistribution that you might have had probably died with the Wii.
True.
Right.
Yeah.
Not to mention
the
physical
point
media.
there.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Nick.
No, it's just saying you got a solid point there, because I mean, honestly, if I'm upset about this, it's because of a selfish reason. Because that is, like I said, where if I wanted to cover a song, it was easy for me to type up, ... here's the song I want, and then get the song. I'm not going to say how I got the song, but I get the song. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, that in itself is a selfish reason why I don't like it, but I understand it. But at the same time, Nintendo, like,
it sucks for artists like you too, though, because
claimed it.
You go to a video and it suggests another one, and you may stumble upon a track that you've never even heard your entire life. You'd be like, yo, I'm going to cover that song. That's out the window too.
Right, that's out the window, and I have to actually decide.
You got to be super specific.
Like, it really started with the Fire Emblem release. Like, the first channel that went down was the Brawl channel. They put out the Fire Emblem soundtrack first, like all 100 and something tracks. And I was like, oh, sweet, this is where I'm going to get the Fire Emblem tracks from. And then literally like 2 days later, every video was taken down, and then that was like the last you heard from that channel. Like, they were done.
Yeah.
They were done.
That's
so like
scary.
The boot comes down.
I
The
think it
footprint's
started
big.
with Fire Emblem. I think that was like the last straw. Nintendo was like, all right, we've had enough. We're done with you guys. So like, yeah, it was a bummer though. It's a big bummer.
The worrisome thing too is like, well, for creators, if we have music in backgrounds or whatever, is that what's going to end up happening long term with that? Am I going to suddenly get pinched because I decided to play a snippet of Fire Emblem or F-Zero or Star Fox? I mean, where's the line drawn?
With the new tools that YouTube put in place, I think that kind of protects channels like us that use that stuff as like background music. Is like, it is our background music, but at the same time, like, it's not just a pure soundtrack of what we're using. You know what I mean? We're kind of using it in the background, and so therefore, people. I think the biggest thing is this. I think Nintendo knows that YouTube is susceptible to the fact that you can take a YouTube video, go to YouTube MP3 download yada yada etc.com,
Exactly.
and then download the song without having to pay for it in any way, shape, or form. And they tried to attack those websites before, but ended up coming up short because there's no real grounds to stand on. So I think that Nintendo is doing what they can to protect their assets by taking down these channels that are literally just, in a sense, re-uploading non-original content, which, let's be honest, that's what it is. It's not so much about me going, hey guys, I'm going to talk to you about my toenail infection, but I'm going to play this song in the background. Hey.
Yes.
It is. It's the first thing that came to mind. But
Must be really bothering you.
Like,
Hope you get it checked out.
For the record, I don't have one. But that's really all I have to say. Is just, I think that Nintendo's more focused on people re-uploading their pure assets, just straight up like, this is the Fire Emblem song from this part of the game, yada yada, etc., etc. Boom, this is what you want. And then they don't really see any money from that in any way, shape, or form. It's kind of it's like free money to someone else who just did some cheap little, I'm gonna upload this song from Nintendo. Blah. Like, I don't think that is fair. And then in the sense that, when it comes to someone like Nintendo, for example, who's taking a song from Nintendo or whatever asset that he chooses to do and cover it. Sorry, what the hell?
God,
Every time I go to talk, something happens. Either I'm burping or whatever. But someone like Nintendo who takes something and makes like an original work of art from that, it sucks because it could potentially affect him too.
Yeah, that's my concern.
Is, I don't know how far it's going to go.
The other question too is, why now?
You would have to significantly change the difference of composition in that song. Is really what I'm trying to say. Is probably.
I think it comes down to what Rax said though. Why now? Because people, like you said, people can go to youtube.com/download YouTube MP3, put that in there, and then you have the song. I think really that's what it comes down to. Because like you said, it's not like they uploaded. Because if I'm not mistaken, Nintendo they got really friendly with the content creators with their property, right? Like, they no longer automatically claim if you have any video game or any video game music in your video now, right? That's like off the table because that they had a whole creators program. So I think, and I mean,
so dumb.
Tell me if you're wrong though. Anybody who's uploaded the
Agreed.
video or done anything, do you get an automatic copyright claim for using Nintendo content? Like, I don't think that's happening. These were manual claims on a channel that was redistributing their music. So I mean, I think that's I hope, I'm not gonna say I hope that's where it stops. But I'm with you though. Now I'm like, why now all of a sudden? Like, what timing does this make? I think it has a lot to do with like Fire Emblem and these guys releasing the soundtrack like days before the game comes out. Like, how are they getting a hold of it?
Right. I'll say these are the last two things I'll say about Nintendo and to like kind of claiming thing that they do. First off, I was irritated to no end that Nintendo was so fiercely just like copyright claiming everything that was remotely Nintendo there for so long. And the thing that irritated me wasn't so much that like they're taking some of my AdSense revenue. I don't care about that so much as the fact that it irritates me to see such a like this massive superpower in the gaming space shoot themselves in the foot so completely with that move. Because by doing that, they really limited their word of mouth or their ability to be shared, which is essentially millions of dollars in free marketing for what, by comparison, is pennies of revenue they save by going after people.
Yeah.
And then the other thing too about that I just don't understand about this move to Nick and to Dom's point about why now. The only thing I could rationalize is one is they're maybe toying with the idea of doing something with all of the music in their library and making it available in some pay form that might be impacted by those being up. Or two, it's just a scare tactic for reasons unknown to me, because that's all these really ever end up being, right? They didn't remove these things from the internet. They just removed it from the most convenient path to it. You could still find all of this music somewhere, whether it's on torrent sites or through direct sharing with friends or, SneakerNet, USB drive. I mean, it's not like it's going to stop it. So it always, I don't know. It just, for me to see Nintendo throw a big tantrum like this just always bugs me. Like, I understand money's at play, but I still just like, I don't know. I feel like it has a larger negative impact on Nintendo fans than it does a positive increase in the revenue that they get by making the move in the first place.
It could paint a positive too, maybe moving forward. If they are going to monetize it, then maybe we'll get
that I would understand.
Digital, we would get maybe physical CD releases, and maybe even for some people who like to collect records, maybe I can get a vinyl release or something, some kind of exclusive collector's edition with some art inside of it. Like, look, we could be going in a cool place. We just don't know.
We're not going to a cool place. You guys are so hopeful.
Yeah,
I know.
I was gonna say it, but I was keeping my tongue.
I'm grabbing at straws and just trying to paint it. Let's see, cup half full, right?
I mean, the European release of Fire Emblem got a USB stick, and I have a CD. What am I gonna do with that? Like, my PC doesn't even have a CD, like actual little disc drive in it. Give me the USB, Nintendo.
Yeah. Modern PCs don't even have optical drives in most cases now. Like,
I mean, that's I got an optical drive over there. If I have it, I can use it. I can rip it and put it on a thumb drive. Like,
right. Well, I'm just saying, like, most of the standard ones you would buy, like, you buy a MacBook Air, you're not getting a CD drive.
That's true. And my car doesn't even have a CD drive in it.
Yeah, like the next,
like, it doesn't even have a CD drive in it. It's all USB connected to your MP3. Like,
dude, you know what's messed up? I bought the whole Fallout anthology thing. Like, actually, I bought two of them. The one that comes in like a little mini nuke.
Oh, the bomb casing?
That's cool.
Yeah, I have two of those. So one of them's sealed, one of them's opened, and I took the games out, and I was like, oh well, they'll have the codes for the games, right? No, it's got the CDs. My damn PC doesn't have a CD drive.
Oh no!
So now I got two useless Fallout things, and I'm just like, oh, come on.
Although at this point, I bet external CD-ROMs are like $10 on Amazon. I'm curious now.
Yeah, the one time you don't want it, like an actual code, or you do want
$24.99, $21. So it's kind of an annoying problem, but not one that can't be circumvented with $20.
Chips, mine does. It's a 2012. You got the 2012
Oh
model.
wait, my new laptop doesn't have a freaking CD drive either.
That's it. You can't live in the CD age anymore. It's it.
Oh man,
I forgot that it's actually it's in vogue to print to cassette now. So maybe we'll see cassettes in vinyls.
It's coming back, right? I mean,
cassettes are actually.
Hey, Celeste had a cassette.
Did it really?
Cassettes are having a renaissance.
They did, yeah.
Very interesting. Well, what else is pretty interesting is the last subject of the night. The MPDs were released, and it looks like Nintendo is, as their copyright striking a lot of people, they're still sitting on top of the MPD charts.
Yeah,
Chris,
we got a running.
tell us about that.
We
man.
got a running list here. Madden does take the top of the charts. Madden NFL 20 is at number 1, but it's quickly followed by Fire Emblem Three Houses, Super Mario Maker 2, Marvel Ultimate Alliance at number 4, The Black Order. Number 5 is Minecraft. Number 6 is GTA 5. Holy God, well that thing just like it's been like
Who doesn't own GTA 5 already? It's
Me.
crazy.
That's crazy. Number 7, Smash Brothers Ultimate. 8, Mortal Kombat 11. 9, Mario Kart 8. And number 10, Breath of the Wild, still up there on the top 10 list.
That's actually very nice to see.
Yeah, I like seeing that there.
But the big one that stood out to me was Marvel Ultimate Alliance here. I was very happy to see
Number
that
4?
on the list.
Yes, very happy that it did so well.
Yes.
It did.
I was
And-
actually
And I feel like
surprised.
oh, go ahead.
No, I was just saying Madden NFL 20 on top. I was just gonna plug. Go check out our review on the channel. Mr. Monopulse up there did it. So go check that out, guys.
I need to go check that out.
Hey, thank you so much.
Play some football.
I was just gonna say for Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, I think they played that whole release just beautifully. First of all, I'm glad they resurrected the series. But then second, like once you get into that game, it's like they waste no time basically shoving all of the heroes you know from the MCU into your face, like within 1 hour of play. They're just like, here's everyone, here's Iron Man, Thor, Hulk, just go have a ball. And then like as you progress, though, you get weird, more completely obscure characters that just kind of gradually rolled out to you. I almost feel like it's a Trojan horse for Phase 4, where they're just trying to warm you up to the idea of some of these characters just to kind of test the waters and see how people respond.
Yeah. And there was a lot of characters in the game too that I was like, yo, who is that? And I actually went to go look it up because I'm like, I'm not well versed completely in the Marvel universe. And I was like, oh, that character looks cool.
Right, like Elsa, I was like, who is this?
Yeah. Hey, Demon, thank you for the 10,000 sparks. Appreciate it. But yeah, I was very happy to see that. Obviously, I was very happy to see Fire Emblem Three Houses on the list. I think that's probably my game of the year so far. I'm so in love with Fire Emblem. I was very happy to see that at number 2. I thought that was very awesome. I'm a little disappointed to see Madden on top though. It's kind of surprising in a way. I didn't think it would sell that well, considering it wasn't out that long either. But
Yeah,
there
it's
it
kinda
is.
weird. Well, all those releases, like because of the super duper deluxe edition that technically puts it in July, the game didn't actually come out until like what, August, right?
Yep.
So like I guess those are for all the early release Ultimate Team fanatics.
The
Unlike your
$100
street release.
versions.
Yeah, the $100 version. That just tells you how EA's nickel and diming everybody. That they're the top selling game with their Ultimate Team version. It's just crazy.
Nick, I really like your shirt.
Thank you, sir. I got it from the Walmart.
Nice.
Hey,
Say, please
Walmart
don't say
come
loot
up.
box, or the loot box.
How many redneck butt cracks did you have to go through to find that?
You know what, man?
All of them.
I pick a perfect time to go where like hardly anybody's there. It's great.
2 in the morning?
Yeah.
No,
about
that's
two-
actually
I go
the
to
worst time to go in my
Sometimes I'm
area,
just
bro.
like, what the? Where am
No,
I? Like,
that is the worst time to go. You got to go like right around
like
right before
7
everybody's going to
a.m.
bed. Like right around everybody's trying to go to bed. That's when you go, because like the weirdos aren't out yet, and then everybody that knows you is going to sleep. So you're like, okay, cool. That's where I'm going. It's great. Mario Maker 2, 3.
Yep, Mario Maker number 3, Minecraft up there, GTA up there, Mario Kart 8, Legend of Zelda up there, and Spider-Man
Mario
actually
Kart
at number
8.
11.
It's still killing it. That's
Still
just
killing it.
crazy, bro. Like Smash Brothers still killing it. Mario Kart 8, Breath of the Wild still killing it. Like that's just
I mean, the way you think about it, right, is everybody getting their first Switch. What do they buy? Mario Kart. What do they buy? Legend of Zelda. I
Right,
guess it just kind of
right,
makes sense, right?
but that
So,
just tells you like how powerful the Nintendo Switch is. Because
just wait
is
till that
happening.
light comes out, though. That's when
Right,
it's gonna
wait
get
till-
lit on fire.
Like
Is that what you're
everything's
getting
going
light?
up. I'm getting a light.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it.
I'm getting a light.
Already pre-ordered my
For-
Pokemon one. It's in there.
I'm getting a light for my
I
children.
felt like a real jerk. I went to GameStop, and that's where I pre-ordered the yellow one because I was still kind of on the fence about it. And they were like, do you know what color you want? I was like, I think I'm gonna go with yellow. I was like, I kind of like the idea of turquoise. They were like, do you want that Pokemon one? I was like, not really. They're like, we only have one. Do you want it? And part of me just wanted to pre-order it just because, so I could take it away from someone else. I was like, nah, it's kind of a
should have.
move.
Let
I'm
me
not gonna
be
do
that
it.
Nah, bro, you should have been like,
Yeah.
yes, I want it.
They were like, do you want to
And then-
pre-order two?
And you know why you should have got it? Because guess what? Yours truly, Jake, probably doesn't have it, and he wants it, and you could have just been like, look, Jake,
Oh man, I
look
love
at this
Torture Dragon too.
Pokemon Switch.
He's probably gonna
It's
go
one of my
back tomorrow
favorite
now just to do
pastimes.
it. It's like, is it still available?
If it's still available,
Yeah.
I may
You
have
could have rubbed
to,
it in
but
that guy's face so bad.
I would have felt so bad though if there was just like one super fan who was like, "Can I pre-order the Pokemon?" They were like, "Nope,
no.
that guy's got it." Like the dude who pre-ordered two. Like, yeah, like that would just be. I think that would be horrible.
So
Jake,
But I was tempted.
I did pre-order the yellow one and the Pokemon one, but I don't know if I'm gonna go through with the yellow one. It's just it was just kind of an instinct, like jump on it kind of thing.
Jump on it.
Yeah.
I think they all
Jump
look pretty
on
good. The gray is too boring for me, but I think it looks. I think it
I'm gonna
looks
go with
good
the
though.
turquoise. The turquoise is what I'm gonna go with. That's what my son wants. He said he wanted that color. So that's what
Turquoise
he
looks
said.
There you go.
nice.
I'm definitely getting them this light because they need the light and need to stay away from my Switch that's already these Joy-Cons, man, they're so expensive. My Joy-Con drifts so bad right now. So
Oof.
bad. I need to get it fixed, but
Gotta call up Nintendo customer service. Hello.
like it's so bad. I'll be playing Fire Emblem and then like the map all of a sudden will just like go up because it's got to drift up. It's just so annoying. And then I'll be playing like Splatoon and I can't aim right because the drift happens. It's just not fun. Not fun at all.
I'm actually worried about the drift and the light. That's why I refused to get it. I just
Apparently they fixed it, didn't they? Or did they fix it for the new model
no,
coming
so
up?
they're gonna fix it if it breaks.
Yeah.
Very
and
reassuring.
so
Or this is
It's
gonna be a
all
bigger pain in
reassuring.
the ass on the light than it is gonna be like people
Yeah,
are
that's
already
true.
already up in arms about having to send in their Joy-Cons, and if you got to send in your
Yeah.
light, like good night, man.
that's what I'm saying. That's why I refused to get it, only because I just want to see everyone else's chaos, including this guy here. I'm not gonna do it. Like, I hardly play my Switch now. I don't need an even more portable version of what I don't play. I'm okay with the one I have. It's fine. I'll live with what I have. You can
I'll enjoy
Actually,
it.
really, what I want to do is get one of those new Switches that came out. Like that's what I kind of do when I get one of those. That way, put my SD cards in those, and that's my Switch that stays in the office in this dock, doesn't move.
Right.
And then y'all can have the one that y'all beat up in there in the other room.
I saw that GameStop was giving pretty decent trade-in value if you just wanted to like upgrade your Switch and not get an additional
Yeah.
one. I think they were
Keep
giving
it-
$225, so you could upgrade for like $75.
Yeah, that's crazy. But people like I don't know. You might want to keep your Switch because all those people that want to like hack them, they'll
Right.
give you top dollar for that. That's what I'm keeping in mind, just in case someone's like, "Yo, you still got that Gen 1 Switch?" I do, and you can
Right.
get it for $600, buddy.
600.
$600. And they all
That's what my
gonna say
cousin
yes.
does. He just hacks them.
It can run Android now, so
Oh, it can.
yeah.
That's kind of crazy. That's nuts.
Surprised they didn't make one for the links. Yeah. Yeah, I'm with John over here. I'm surprised they didn't make a Link's Awakening one too.
I'm still
Yeah,
waiting for it.
man. Like
I see
They
them
need
coming
to-
out with one, but later. Well,
what would the
think
Link's
about it.
Awakening one be?
Well, no, not Link's Awakening. With the new Zelda one that they showcased at E3.
The Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, the number 2. I honestly feel that they would have probably not only a Switch version, but a light version for when.
They're gonna pimp that out. You
Exactly.
know that. You already know
That's
they are.
why I think they didn't do Link's Awakening, because they're waiting on another Zelda one, or at least that version of it.
Maybe.
That's what I see. I mean, I'm predicting it now. I'm calling it.
Predict
I
it
see
up.
it.
Cool.
Guys, Twitter is an amazing place.
It sure is.
What's happening?
What happened?
What did you do?
So I don't know if you guys caught it, but I was trying my best to not laugh as loud as I possibly could. But there's a game coming to the Nintendo Switch called One Night Stand.
Word.
What?
In one night
It's about
stand,
furniture, isn't it?
After a fun night of passion and one too many drinks, you wake up next morning to a complete stranger lying naked beside you in bed. What do you do?
That's a
In one
thing.
night stand, explore the unknown bedroom and seek the clues to identify the stranger and what happened to bring you both together. You may resort to some unusual methods to find the answers you're looking for, but take care and prod, and don't pry too much. A nosy guest quickly becomes an unwanted one. Will you stay and explore your relationship, or will you escape when the opportunity presents itself?
Hey.
Damn it.
the
Nintendo
year.
Switch eShop, please lock your
They really need to, dog. They
stuff
really
down.
have to.
We don't need this crap on the eShop.
No,
They
don't
talk
do
about how
it.
they're
What?
Review
they're
coming
for the
soon.
kids.
I know. It was so family. It was
Oh,
so
no, that
family
means it's my
based.
job.
Dude.
Ah.
They come out with this.
Ah.
I don't know. This may not be that bad. I'm looking at the trailer for it.
It may not be that bad.
It's not. You make it sound like it's a Leisure Suit Larry game. This looks like a more artsy indie title.
Leisure Suit Larry was actually, but if you, in all honesty, like if released today, that game would cause riots. Like that game was
Yeah.
so bad. It's like they should have just called it like date rape. The
Roofing
date
that.
The
rape
video game.
.com. I don't know what the hell that game, but like it's so bad. Dude, one of the mini games on that game is literally like you try to get this girl drunk to like take her back to your room. Like that's literally
Yeah.
one of the mini games on that game. And like there's one where it's like you try to get the sperm cell through the
What?
dude, that game is you never played Leisure Suit Larry?
No,
Look
and
up
you know,
Leisure
I'm
Suit
glad,
Larry.
and you know what? I'm glad I did,
Immortal
bro.
Classic.
I'm so glad I did.
I'm glad I
What?
didn't.
Because man, that just
Play
sounds like
Leisure Suit Larry.
who made the game?
So
If you
funny.
did, you'd be nostalgic for it.
People are
That's
asking
like a
us
Sierra
already
game.
to
I didn't
to
play
I
play
think
it.
I think it
this
was
game.
Sierra, yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious now.
That's awful.
Sierra, they're OGs, man.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so is EA. That's one thing. Like, even everybody like slams on EA because they're so easy to hate on. They've been around for like 37 years. Like,
Yep.
that's one of the few gaming companies that's been around for almost 40
They've been
years
releasing
at this point.
since DOS. y'all.
Right.
It's like LucasArts deep.
Like they're doing something right. At least to stay in the game. No pun intended.
Card packs all day.
Leisure Suit Larry.
Well, on the note of sperm games, I think that'll be the last thing we leave off on for the
A
night.
natural segue.
Yes, absolutely. So we'll go ahead and start with the outros. And first off, we want to thank everybody for coming into the stream. We've had 20 plus most of the night. Thank you guys so much for coming in. We appreciate all love and support. But I will start with the man who came in first, Mr. Nintendo Studio, Nintendo Direct. Thanks for
That's
coming
right.
in.
How disrespectful.
Tell us what you got planned for your channel and any goodbyes.
I got some things coming up for the music channel. I'm going to do one more Fire Emblem song that'll complete the Fire Emblem EP that I'm going to be putting up on all music streaming services. I can't wait for that. Also, I'm going to be uploading Volume 1 to music streaming services as well, so keep on the lookout for that. That's kind of something that I've really wanted to do when I started this channel. Now I'm getting ready to do it, so it's a big milestone for the channel and myself, so I'm getting ready to do that. So be on the lookout for that one. I'm not really gonna go into much detail about that. That's something for you guys. So
Nintendo
I'll
might
leave
be
it.
listening. Don't.
So either way, look out for the new Fire Emblem song and all that stuff.
Awesome. Yeah, more Fire Emblem, more good. I think those have been really I really like what you put out. I really love the Fire Emblem stuff. Leads me over into Mr. Codex right to the left. Peace out. Yeah.
Jeez.
Why'd you do me? Why'd you do me second?
Because
It just goes that way. I'm going this way
I don't
down.
know.
It
Yeah.
works.
I don't have a plug though, so now I just look stupid.
Just follow him follow Codex on Twitter. He does stuff.
I don't, but all right, go ahead.
Hit him up on the Insta.
See him, yes, Snapchat after dark.
Private snaps right here.
Private Snaps Premium. He has very tasteful sets coming in August. It's gonna be great. Mr. Mono, thanks for coming in for another one.
Not a problem. You can catch me on the Mixer, the Twitter, the YouTube, the Twitch, wherever. That's pretty much it. Either Mono Pulse or Mono_Pulse. This week, I don't have any damn idea. We might be doing something on Sunday if all things go to according to plan. That'll be a Mixer exclusive if that happens.
Okay.
Otherwise, we are probably just gonna, do some streaming on Monday with the Game Looters. I'm not sure what yet. Maybe more Mario Maker, as that was super fun. And then, of course, as I've stated over and over and over, August 27th, I'll be doing the 6-day classic spree, probably 6 to 8 hours a day, if not more. Come on in. I won't be showering.
Yikes.
I mean, that's the biggest
Man
reason
diapers.
to come into a stream right there.
I'm honest. I'm gonna eat. I'm gonna shower now.
Telling you, those man diapers.
I'm
are
gonna take a
handy.
shower some point, like 1 a.m.
Eat in the shower. It's all.
If I can make that
Save
happen.
time. Save time.
Same
The
time.
shark
Maximum
koozies to
efficiency.
hold your beer in the shower.
He will be
perfect.
sponsored on this 6-day hiatus by
Girlfriend comes in with a sponge, is just sponging him down on stream.
Oh, she's not anywhere near me. Are you kidding me?
Oh
Also, I'm
my
putting,
God.
I'm not gonna lock her
Spongy.
in a room for 6 days. Like,
Just make sure to give her,
It's real life.
Me-
snacks.
me,
Leisure
wife,
Suit Larry.
wow. Me, wife, wow. You there?
Damn.
Well, man to the bottom there, Mr. Rax. Great. Thanks for coming in for another one, my friend. Take us out.
And thank you for having me. I always appreciate you having me on the LootCast, one of my favorite podcasts to be on. You guys can follow me on any of the social media that you see here or here. I don't know which side it is because I am dumb. But either way, you guys can come check out my channel at youtube.com/Rax the Great. I do have a pretty cool unboxing coming up pretty soon. I also have a lot of really different content in terms of, unboxings, game reviews, old console tech, a lot of just variety of different things when it comes to gaming. So if that sounds like something that's up your alley, make sure to come hit that subscribe button. I'd love to have you come hang out with me on the channel. Thank you so much.
Awesome. And that leads me over to our guest tonight, Mr. Your Player 2.
Yes, thank you for having me, man. I really appreciate it. It's been an absolute blast, aside from the raisins thing. But beyond that, what I will say is, again, Your Player 2 here. My channel is all about creating, encouraging, inspirational, or informational content that is specifically targeted towards the gaming YouTube creator. So if you're somebody who runs a gaming channel, or if you're thinking about starting a gaming channel, you will find lots of content that I think you will find to be very, very helpful in that arena. And also right now, you've caught me in the middle of a 90-day experiment all the way through Halloween. And Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern is when I will be streaming basically the tips video I used to put out only 2 or 3 times a week, except now it's happening every morning because I'm a complete masochist, and this was a horrible idea I made in a moment of weakness. But what I will say is if you come hang out, the first 10 to 15 minutes of that stream are basically just me kind of dispensing information, basically things that I have learned because I'm on this journey as well. And then about the last 30, 45 minutes, it's just hanging out and talking, right? As I drink coffee and try to get ready to go to my day job and then work on YouTube stuff some more. So, if you're looking to hang out in the mornings, I'll be around at 8 a.m. Eastern every day through Halloween, until I pass out or spiral into depression because it was a horrible plan. But if that sounds appealing, subscribe.
I love the spiral. It's great.
I mean,
Thank you.
there's no bigger pitch that's got me hooked than that.
Yeah,
Right? Like
Well-
no raisins, possible depression. It's going to be a great time.
Well, on my way out, Rax, I usually go to you for the rating. If you have anybody we should rate tonight,
Let's see.
I'll give you guys our outro here. We are the Game Looters. Thank you guys for joining us each and every week right here on Thursdays at 8 p.m. On our channel, we do news, reviews, podcasts just like this one, and tons more. We have a lot of stuff lined up. We have gotten an official schedule. We stream 5 days a week. We are off Tuesdays, so that's going to be our day of rest. You can find us all other days, including this day on Thursdays. You can see us here streaming 4 days from Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then you can find Mono on the channel now on Mondays. So make sure you guys like, subscribe, do all that funky stuff, and come back for another live stream. What you got, Rax?